This kid was looked down on by his own family and they even tossed him into the water to drown. As he sank, memories from his past life came flooding back, revealing that his name was Theodore and that he was addicted to gambling, who ended up getting stabbed by a robber and only to end up in this new world just to face death all over again. On the brink of death, a voice calls out to him, and when he opens his eyes, he sees the girl who saved him. With his memories back, he realizes he's now Theodore Gartner, and that girl is Grace, a loyal servant to his family. But she isn't just some ordinary maid, she's also a fierce warrior wielding a massive axe. Now armed with the knowledge of both his lives, he decides to chase his freedom and carve his own path. His current goal is to reach the city of Tamwils, where a dungeon from his game exists, giving him a huge edge, so Theodore, Grace, and their guards set off on their journey. Just as she swears to protect him with her life, the group's carriage suddenly comes under attack. He activates his detection magic immediately and spots enemies hiding behind trees in the distance. The monsters charge fiercely toward them, but Grace instantly draws her giant axe and slices the opponents into pieces. Some monsters try to ambush Theodore, but with a single strike, he sends them flying. The other guards join the fray, making their victory inevitable and easy. After wiping out the threats, he decides to rest because this group's adventure is only just beginning. The next day, they arrived at a small town. The group split up to handle their own business. Meanwhile, Theodore got a pretty intense welcome coming from a stressed captain angry that they did his job for him. While walking through the city, he meets a little girl named Ashley Lotarius Shern, the local princess. She apologizes for her soldiers' rude behavior. Ashley notices Theodore is her age but acts way more mature, even though she isn't in the best of health herself. Theodore wondered what could be wrong with her, so he seized the chance to analyze her condition. Using his knowledge of vital energy, he scans the flow within her body. He then decides to speed up her physical recovery. Totally shocked, she wonders what kind of magic that was. She starts running, feeling light on her feet after the healing. Overjoyed, she approaches Theodore and thanks him for curing the illness, finally feeling relieved. After chatting for a while, it's time for Theodore to leave. Even though he liked the town and his new friend, he had to follow his destiny. After a long journey, he finally reaches his ultimate goal, the grand labyrinth city of Termui, where everything will begin for him. He is completely mesmerized by the city. Theodore says the first step is to visit Rosetta and deliver some letters. Once again, they split up to handle their tasks. Upon arriving at the Rosetta mansion, a woman opens the door introducing herself as Rosetta and immediately says Theodore and Grace's names, leaving them shocked. She explains that she knew him when he was just a baby. Theodore hands the letter over to her, which asked for help so he could settle down in the city. His first request is to get a house of his own there. Rosetta grants the boy's request, but insists they crash at her mansion since house hunting starts tomorrow. The next day, they head over to the city's real estate agent and secure a house to serve as the group's new base. Next up, he went to sort out the paperwork for his new guild officially registering the team so they can explore the labyrinth. As he was reading through the expedition details, a shady group was watching him from a distance. To wrap up the preparations, he visited the alchemist to request some magical creatures for self-defense. She performed the summoning procedure and now he's all set to tackle the labyrinth tomorrow. After a hectic day, he finally went home to get some rest. The following morning, he woke up ready for the big moment. He and the girls make their way to the labyrinth, which looked just like a giant mansion from the outside. But once inside, a woman shows them a massive spiral staircase leading down into the depths. After descending for a while, they finally reach the lower floor, only to realize they aren't alone. There were some mages hiding behind the walls. Theodore immediately cast a spell, blowing up the wall and blasting the spies away. The remaining enemies rushed out of hiding to attack. But these guys were absolutely nothing compared to the level of Theodore's guild. The last survivor activated a giant magic circle and transformed into a monstrous chimera. Just as the chimera was about to strike, Theodore put up several ice barriers to block the hit. But its strength was so overwhelming that it still managed to hit him and send him flying. With ice walls popping up everywhere, our heroes cornered, and the monsters all, "Nowhere to run, kid." The creature fires off its icicle lance, sharp ice shards zooming at Theodore, but he deflects them with his staff, leaving the monster totally shook. Then, he charges at the beast, asking why it's so shocked. Like, surprised much? The MC lands a perfect hit on the creature's head, knocking out a tooth, and says he's not losing to the same magic trick twice. The Manticore's getting tired, wondering how it's losing to this kid, but the MC's still going strong, not slowing down. For the grand finale, the heroes charging up a magic called resonance mines, ready to blow up a bunch of mini-bombs around the creature. The mythological beast's all beat up, can't attack anymore, and it's hanging on by sheer willpower, but this is the end. Just before the final blow, a voice calls out, and a giant axe crashes down, slicing off the creature's scorpion tail, causing a massive crash. Grace swoops in to help, and finally the creature's out cold on the ground. Rosetta steps in with her Roton blood, making sure the creature's really done for. No more problems. With a sigh of relief, the girl jokes that it almost felt like a big prank, but it's seriously concerning. The protagonist's maid comes over, they hold hands, and the boy fiddles with the ring that seals her powers, apologizing for worrying her. Smiling, she says it's all good as long as he's safe, but Rosetta points out some weird black stones on the ceiling. The MC's puzzled, never seen those in the game, so the adventurers tie up the baddies and call for backup. Our hero's curious about the mysteries ahead, knowing this is just the beginning. The guild girl scribbles a letter, chatting about the rough and tumble adventurers known as Snakebite, always stirring up trouble. The heroes? They'll get rewarded once it's all confirmed. The adventurers swap high fives about the day's work and say their goodbyes. Theodore asks Rosetta if she wants a ride in the carriage, but she wants some solo time, telling them to hit her up for future adventures. Today was a wild ride for our adventurers, and they need some serious chill time. Next morning, the young boy wakes up, all comfy on a big pillow, but surprise, it's Grace's bust. He remembers they returned the landlord's bed, so they've been floor camping. He tries to sneak away without waking her, feeling all nostalgic. Theodore used to crash with his maid after hunts, always slept like a baby with her around, but while he's daydreaming, she wakes up, all morning sunshine, blushing like crazy. Our hero decides it's time to get some furniture, especially a bed, cause this is awkward. The maid suggests he chill while she whips up breakfast, but he's all, nah, let's do it together. And then they head to the guild. On the way, they bump into Lucian and the Forest Birds crew, who heard about the hero's epic day yesterday. The squad's hyped, giving props for catching those sneaky bandits, and now everyone's buzzing about it in adventurer circles. They say their goodbyes, and Miss Heather's like, hey, someone's looking for you in the guild room. Turns out, it's Ashley. The main dude's jaw drops, and they all head to the room. Heather's off to sort the reward while they chat. Inside, the Baroness is all smiles, like she's been waiting forever to see them. The main dude checks in on her health, and she's like, feeling way better, even rode solo in the guild's dragon carriage. She's here to say she's off to study in Termwheel, so she might be MIA for a bit, but Beline said the guild can pass messages. Plus, she's got a favor for Theodore, something about blood circulation treatment. Even though it's for Ashley's health, everyone's thinking, noble, kids hanging out, sounds like wedding bells. The main dude's sure Beline's behind this. Even if he's just an illegitimate kid, Ashley thinks he's awesome. The Baroness is all excited, asking Grace to teach her embroidery. Grace is down, but only when she's got time. The main dude's looking around, realizing he's got to start worrying about his crew, and the maid's like, what's up? He just grins, saying he'll fill Grace in later, but with everything changing, there's a ton to do tomorrow. Later, when it's just him and his maid, Theodore spills what he thinks Beline's plotting, and because of that, he's got something important for Grace to hear. Trying not to freak out, he tells her he knows she's loyal because of his mom, but he wants her to let that go. He gulps, trying to be brave, and says if she's cool with sticking with him, he wants to be by her side. Looking her in the eyes, he pops the big question, asking if she'd marry him. Sweating bullets? He knows she might need time, but Grace gets it and says she knows what he means. But before she answers, she wants him to know her debt to Lisa isn't the only reason she's there. When she lost her parents, Grace had nowhere to go. As a half-vampire, she hid in the forest, scared of seeing humans as snacks. This was before magic tools. Back then, she could only half-quench her thirst, but now she's good with the tools. Grace thinks he might not remember, but he was the first to find her in the forest, and the smile baby Theodore gave her made her super happy. Lisa noticed Grace and gave her a ring and a home. Thanks to that, she can hug a kid without worrying. Theodore was never scared of the half-vampire, and that saved her big time. If he wants to be with her, it's gotta be said. A half-vampire might get all vampy when hungry, but lately Grace feels it even when she's not. She asks if he knows why, if he gets that it might just be her nerves. With a shaky voice, she says she's been spoiled by his kindness, but she's scared he'll back off. So she really needs to know, after hearing her whole story, if he's cool with being with someone as cursed as her. The main dude's all, no worries about your condition, and if there's a vampy impulse, I'd be honored to be the reason. But even with his strong words, Grace is still unsure if she'll be trouble for him. He's all, everything's chill as long as it's with her, but he's also like, I'm totally gonna mess up and stress her out sometimes. The girl's curious if it's about what Beline said, brings up Ashley, and mentions she'd be stoked too, cause she thinks she's awesome. And maybe the Baroness feels the same about the dude, but it's not the maid's drama to handle. It's gotta be said by the right peep. Then, boom, the vampire rolls up and asks to be called like in the old days, at least for now, and the hero's down with that. With a killer smile and cheeks all red, the young lady thanks him by calling him Theo. Next day, after the big confession, the lovebirds hit the city, hand in hand, for some shopping spree action. And just like that, the couple's chill new life kicks off in Termuise. Now, they're soaking in a bath, the adventurer duo's having some quality hang time. Turns out Grace is all about the hugs more than the hero thought. She's been extra cuddly since the big confession day. They're chatting about tomorrow, cause the hero's starting Magic Academy classes, and the girl's keen to tag along, even if it's just in the waiting room. Then, bam, class time, and surprise, Ashley's in the same applied magic class as the hero. Suddenly, a loud scream cuts through, some kids yelling about having to take a lame subject. The noisy kid's Tarkat, son of Morris from the Duke Cardiff fam, known for magic skills but also a bit of a hothead. Theodore asks Ashley how the healing magic class went, and she's like, "Nailed it, thanks to your tips." The hero figured the Baroness would rock at this magic stuff, but her nailing basic healing magic with just tips? Epic. The girl's wondering if she can do spells without chanting if she memorizes and practices in applied magic class. Then the teacher shows up. The teacher's all, "Magic powers everywhere. It's the source of power. You can use your will to change its form and stuff." Since they're doing fire magic, the class is heading outside. Ashley gets a tiny flame going in her hand, and Theo gives it a shot and nails it fast. Letting the magic equation handle it means no stress over control. It's been a pain to manage his magic every time he lights the fireplace. The Baroness asks if the boys learned about applied magic before, and he's like, "Yup." Even so, the dude's only memorized attack spells, mostly cause he's short on time and his magic's from the BFO system. While they're chatting, Tarkat rudely butts in, asking about Ashley being the Lady of Shern. Theo tries to answer, but the girl steps up and declares she's the Baroness, asking what the kid wants. The rude kid's like, "My dad sent a marriage proposal ages ago and got ghosted. Rumor has it, a year ago, Tarkat lost control of his magic and hurt his fiancée, breaking off the engagement. Because of that, all the potential brides ditched his family, and his dad's been sending proposals to every single noble girl." Ashley politely asks which family he's from. She knows Duke Cardiff, but never heard of the proposal. The young lady explains it's important, so they gotta wait for her main house's response. Then she'll send it to the Duke. The grumpy kid now turns to the hero, asking who he is since he heard the Baroness has no fiancé. Our hero's like, "Nope, not backing down." And the teacher notices the fuss coming over to ask if there's a problem. Now the teachers all form training groups, watch each other, and learn. Some little dudes gather around Theodore, impressed by his skills. The hero explains, as long as the incantation's right, the magic equation does its thing. Meanwhile, Tarkat's throwing a fit, yelling about not being able to do something so basic, even though he's good at medium-level magic. Our hero spots the kid doing a weird incantation and wonders what that goofball's up to. The reckless dude whips up a massive fire cyclone and still acts all smug, saying he doesn't need to learn useless stuff like applied magic. But from the corner, our MC starts charging up a portal with his hand, and boom, he creates a black hole, sucking up the giant cyclone, leaving the impulsive kid totally ticked off. He stomps over to Theo, asking what kind of magic that was, and our boys all, "It's anti-fire magic, duh," and asks why the wild one pulled that stunt. Tarkat yells at the MC, calling him dumb and telling him to back off. Since this kid's known as the fierce puppy of Cardiff, the MC decides to treat him like one and says he doesn't know how much he can control his magic, and asks if the kid really thinks he's above everyone with his magic skills, but the fierce puppy totally believes it. Apparently he got his rep by always bossing others around and was raised to be all about power. Even though he feels a bit sorry, our hero knows if the kid's into power, he just needs to show who's boss. So the MC throws down a bet, a duel between them, and if the fierce puppy loses, he has to study whatever without whining. But if he wins, the MC will teach him some epic portal magic. Even the teacher's shocked to see Theo pulling off this kind of magic at his age. They agree to use only low-level, no-chance spells. If one gives up, runs, or gets knocked out, the other wins. Grace comes over worried, but the hero's like, "Chill, it's just a duel," and says she'll help if anyone gets hurt, and boom, the battle's on. It reminds the MC of when he used to rock PvP back in the old BFO days. Tarkat whips out his wand and notices the other dude doesn't, which makes him mad, thinking he's being underestimated. Then the fierce puppy fires his air bullet skill, which gets instantly countered by the same magic, leaving him shook. Our hero just keeps canceling the enemy's spells, reading the fierce puppy's moves by the way he shifts his gaze. When he spots a big enough opening, the MC uses his cracker bomb skill with the air bullet and launches it at the opponent, catching him off guard. And, taking advantage of the kid being distracted by the spells, the MC sneaks up and uses a spell to make him snooze. The duel's done, and a hooded guy strolls over, congratulating our hero. Then the guy introduces himself as Fred, but the boy's like, "You're Alfred Breidevelt, the magical engineer from the BFO game." Even though he calls himself Alfred, he's actually part of the royal fam, the fourth prince, Albert. The MC heard this dude's tight with his childhood friend Olivia, who he'll marry in the future. Plus, his political power in the palace is kinda weak, so he cozies up to the Adventurers Guild. Knowing all this, our hero sees him as a potential ally and decides to be friendly. They greet each other. Meanwhile, Tarkat wakes up and realizes he lost the duel, and surprisingly, he's cool with sticking to their deal. Turns out, the fierce puppy's got a good heart. Just grew up in a toxic scene, taking advantage. Of his open heart, our hero drops some wisdom on studies and subjects that are super important, not useless like the kid thought. Far away, in a dark spot, a mysterious woman grumbles about the manticore they sent to erase evidence getting defeated. Plus, the snakebite gang got caught alive and are chilling in the guild. At least they didn't know much about her to spill the beans. But, adding up all these probs, the woman complains humans are such a pain. However, compared to hanging with that scum, this is a bit better. She vows to show them what she's made of and make them recognize her. After the magic duel with the MC, Tarkat got sent to the principal, while the hero got taken to a room where they stayed until further notice. Theodore's worried if Ashley will have trouble hanging with them, but the girl's like, nah. And since they've got free time, they decide to continue her treatment. Holding the Baroness's hand, the young dude asks how the young lady's vibing. The feeling was warm, like she just cannonballed into a hot tub. Grace just chills, doing her embroidery thing, while in another room, Tarkat's dealing with his own mess. The Baroness wants the deets on their Labyrinth adventure, but since they only hit level 12, it was more snooze fest than epic saga. Honestly, they haven't even bumped into any guardians yet, those big boss monsters, probably lurking below level 20. Professor Rosetta pops up in the middle of the convo, dropping news about what's up with Tarkat. First off, even though it's his own fault, the dude's losing his shot at inheriting from the Duke of Cardiff, getting the boot from the fam, but he's still in the academy, with a big, "Don't mess up again or you're out" warning hanging over his head. On the bright side, cutting ties with Duke Cardiff means he can finally think for himself, and he's got mad magic skills. The director and some mystery VIP who's got his back are stepping up to defend him, with the VIP being his new guardian. Theodore's got a hunch this mystery person is Prince Albert, plotting to help the kid after realizing he'd be disinherited. Tarkat's super grateful to Theodore, since the hero basically saved his bacon, even if it wasn't the plan. Switching gears, Ashley's got some stuff going on that needs sorting out. Her illness is a magic overload thing, and the only fix is training her body to handle it. So the boy's gonna keep doing what he's doing, cause it's working wonders. The professor tried to learn this treatment but failed, so she's shook seeing the protagonist nailing it. Rosetta asks the trio to hang tight, cause she's got a meeting she's not thrilled about. Right then, a scream shatters the chill, someone yelling about their kid causing chaos. A fancy-dressed dude with royal vibes rolls in, eyes Theodore, and asks if he's the one who stopped Tarkat. The professor jumps in to defend her student, but Cardiff's just there to say thanks. The protagonist steps up, asking if the Duke's got something to chat about. The man introduces himself as Morris Torum Cardiff, head honcho of the Cardiff house, and gives props for handling Tarkat without a scratch. Then, with a voice that could freeze lava, he asks which of Duke Gartner's kids the protagonist is. Head down, the protagonist admits he's neither, just the illegitimate one. Theodore senses this guy knew his backstory all along, just trying to make him feel small. Finally, the Duke starts trash-talking the young man's mom, saying she wasn't noble. Rosetta and Grace lose it, yelling at the guy. He recalls it was 8 years ago. All because of him. She was saved, while folks in his land were dropping like flies. Our protagonist hears this and wonders if he's really gonna diss his mom like that. Fuming, the boy starts charging his magic, ready to throw down. But Ashley's scream cuts through, asking what the dude really knows about the boy's mom. Besides spouting nonsense, it was thanks to Lisa that many survived. The woman avenged the Baroness's parents, so he should zip it and feel ashamed. Now it clicks for Theo. The girl knew Lisa, and that's why Grace vibes with her. The Baroness is all, "No way you're gonna talk smack about the hero of my house." And then the dude's like, "Wait, are you from the Duke of Shurn's crew?" When she nods, the guy bolts, apologizing like he's glad no one got hurt, even though he basically just dissed another house right in front of its boss. Not the best time to lose more Duke points, and our main guy totally gets that this dude's trouble. No room for slip-ups, the boy's definitely gonna make him eat his words. Ashley's all teary saying sorry for the drama, Grace swoops in to comfort her, and Theo spots she's hurt. Turns out, the vampire hurt her, hand trying to yank off a ring in a rage moment. But now that the adrenaline's chilling, they're all calmer, and even manage a smile. Our hero's deep in thought about how his mom's so loved by folks who aren't even family. He thanks the Baroness for her words. She nods and says sorry too. With a handkerchief, he dries the young lady's tears, thinking he'd never drag them into trouble because of that Cardiff jerk. Rosetta drops a bomb, saying Morris might see Ashley as an enemy. The young lady's shocked, and apparently the Duke thought she was mad because she's tight with the hero. This could mean someone on his team might try to mess with her. Being a Duke, he's got high-level pals, so close folks might try to hurt the heroes. Ashley feels bad for the chaos, but the hero's like, nah, you did good. Her move stopped the others from going full rage mode on the jerk. So, it's only natural to team up and find the best ways to keep her safe, and the hero hopes she's down for the help. Then he starts brainstorming protection plans, maybe hitting up the fourth prince, but his pull's kinda limited. For now, the adventurer knows staying in a place with lots of traffic is a no-go. They gotta find a new spot. The girl wonders if heading back to Shern's cool, but Rosetta's got other ideas. The girl prefers finding a new hideout, so the hero's just gotta guard that spot. But the teacher's got another plan, cause cleaning up this mess might stir up more drama. Besides, it could catch the eye of folks against Duke Morris, not just cause he's the Shern boss, but also a top healer and she's still single. That's why these people will do anything to get her on their side. If she really wants to fix this, she should find a partner. So, with this big issue, the trio's gotta think it through. Theodore's getting jittery, thinking if Ashley stayed at Rosetta's, he could just guard the place. But they still gotta figure out this marriage proposal thing. The Baroness wonders if this is too much, but the teacher's like, she's a Duke's house leader. So loads of marriage offers are gonna roll in soon. Same deal for Theo. His dad Henry's probably plotting to pair him with Grace someday. But with his magic skills, she bets his dad thinks he won't settle for just one partner. For sure, the big shots are already scheming, and someone like Duke Morris is thinking the same about Theo and Ashley. And then Morris, acting on assumptions, will make everyone around him think the same. Truth be damned. Rosetta thinks the best move is to crash at her place for a day and talk it out. With a wink, the teacher suggests the girl spill her feelings, even if the future's a mystery. Then the girl offers to grab some tea, and an awkward silence fills the room. Ashley breaks it, saying when she told her butler she wanted to study in Termui, he asked if she'd marry Theodore. The main dude's all, this is totally a blind scheme. But he's like, let's just vibe with our feelings as friends and figure it out from there. But he knows if they tie the knot, it's gonna be a drama fest. If Ashley's all about being like his mom, it's gonna be a tough road. Flashback to Lisa. 8 winters ago she fought a demon, got cursed, and everyone turned their backs on her. Even though she was a hero, no one gave her props. And our boy can't shake that snowy night from his mind. A simple, thanks would have been enough, you know? That's why Ashley's got mad respect from him, and because she's awesome, he's all about protecting her future. He's like, yo, if you want to ditch this deal later, it's cool. But he hopes to always be in her life. Ashley blushes, saying she lost her parents, and her butler was a total buzzkill, never letting her play outside. Plus, she was always sick, stuck in bed, lost her bro, and had to lead the Shern. Then she heard about Lisa, Theo's mom, who avenged her parents, and it was like a fairy tale that made her want to level up. When she found out Theo was Lisa's kid, she was like, I'm outta here. Theo forgave the Oslo drama and healed her, making her feel like she was living in a fairy tale. Feeling all light and free, she didn't want to leave him, so she asked him and Grace to hang out longer. So just like today, she's trying to figure out her noble role. As for the marriage thing, she's putting it on hold. But thinking Theo would chat about it and let her be part of his life, she can't believe she deserves it. But then Grace steps in, holding her hand. Grace is all, if anyone's cool for this, it's Ashley. And she's got a message for Lisa if she could. With a grin, the main dude's like, I've said my piece, and that's never changing, making Ashley super happy. Later, Rosetta shows up with tea, and the main dude knows there's time to chat about everything, especially since his teacher's gonna want to be in on the chaos too. In a chill moment, they're sipping coffee. Theo tries a dish. Grace and Ashley are all, how's it taste? And he's like, it's fire. They're all vibing when a black blob drips from the window, catching one of the girl's eyes. It's Caduceus, back in action. This cat's the main dude's familiar, made by an alchemist a while back. It's usually all liquidy, but it can turn into a cat or bird, and now it's on house patrol for Ashley's safety. The dude asks for the patrol deets, and the cat morphs into the house, showing last night's scoop. Something's sus, a semi-human with cat ears acting shady. If they're from the Duke's crew, they gotta be careful. The hero tells the familiar to remember the outfit. The face is a mystery, so the main dude tells his assistant to keep an eye out for anyone like that cat-eared girl. She might be planning a sneak attack, so he's ready to strike first. He asks Ashley about her plans, and she's got training with Professor Rosetta, extra classes, and magic defense. He realizes the teacher's prepping her for more than healing, knowing her noble duties. She's gearing up for the challenges. Now he tells his crew he's heading out with Caduceus, lifts Grace's seal, and tells her to stay safe while he's gone. The kids all, "I'm gonna take a stroll and grab some stuff I need." With a sneaky grin, the MC's totally plotting something epic. After hitting up some shops and rocking a fresh outfit, the dude opts for a cape instead of a tunic. He couldn't find the cane, but honestly, it would have just slowed him down, so it's all good. On his way back, he starts hearing these heavy footsteps behind him. It's Caduceus lurking in the shadows. Suddenly, he realizes the semi-human is tailing him. But plot twist, our hero's actually on the roof, watching this shady girl follow his double, and now it's his turn to chase. The Theodore clone starts sprinting, so the girl bolts after him, taps his shoulder and says, "Chill, no need to freak out." But the second she touches him, the stuff in the cape just vanishes. Boom, the MC pops up ambushing her, saying he knew she'd come after him, just not this soon. Then he asks if she's with Duke Cardiff's crew, but she totally denies it. He tries to attack her a bunch, but she yells that she does business with the Cardiffs, but isn't out to hurt them. With her hood off, she shows her face and begs the hero to hear her out. He decides to give her a shot since she's not a spy. The semi-human introduces herself as Sierra. She's hunting for a lost friend and heard the MC busted the Cobra Bite gang. And since the kid's beefing with Duke Cardiff, she thought getting close to him would make the Duke's goons chase her. The hero starts thinking and figures the cat girl's hinting there's a link between Duke Cardiff and the Cobra Bite. She spills that her missing friend was chatting with Cobra Bite folks and someone from Cardiff's crew was there too. Basically, she thinks Duke Cardiff used someone from that gang to snatch her friend. She even tried hitting up the guild, but they keep Cobra Bite stuff on the down low and she doesn't want to get blamed. Sierra says she's in the Bandits Guild and bandits gotta stay secret, so she's risking it by telling the kid. Theo asks about the missing friend and she says her name's Lamaya, also a semi-human. He can't spill any Adventurers Guild tea, but he can help her find her friend by scoping out sketchy spots. They start scouring the city, and she takes him to a building that's tough to get into cause of the guards. The MC wonders if just checking out the guards' style would reveal if they're Cardiff's crew, but they stay inside. Still, since the drama, Cardiff's people haven't been back, probably cutting visits to keep things hush-hush. Sizing up the scene, the hero thinks the place is super sus. Then, using Caduceus to snoop inside, the kid uses his shared vision power to spy. If Sierra's right and there are kidnapped folks, Caduceus will go nuts and rescue them. Instead of hunting for proof, they're gonna save the hostages first, something the guild would totally back. So Theo asks for more deets on the missing friend. The missing girl's got long purple hair, a long braid. While she talks about her friend, the familiar checks every corner. Sierra adds that the girl loves singing and concerts. Then, out of nowhere, thanks to the shared vision, Theodore spots a woman matching the description. And the familiar, in black ball form, goes boom, causing major chaos. The semi-human sees the guards moving outside. Blinking, our hero's like, maybe the prisoners are causing a ruckus inside. They can use this chance to sneak into the building unnoticed. The kid asks her to hold his cane for a sec, and starts charging up electric energy in his feet. With a leap that's more like a rocket launch, he gets them to the top of the wall, and now they're in. Feeling underestimated, Sierra smacks him with the cane and says she could have climbed that wall solo if she wanted. Loads of people are hurt thanks to the chaos Caduceus and the MC caused with that explosion, but the main goal is freeing the prisoners. The superpowered kitten sidekick totally wrecks some baddies, just as Theo and his new buddy do, until they hit a hallway. At the end of this hallway, the part human spots her friend, and, with a leap, she jumps into the girl's arms. Sierra and the main dude sneak into the building and save a bunch of hostages. While the guild stays out of it, the boy lets the part human handle things and hopes they don't mind not getting a call. Plus, the hero found a magic circle like the one the Cobra Bites used. There might be clues linking their work to Cardiff. If this goes down, Morris won't have time to bug Ashley and the boy, but loads of mysteries still wait for him. Finally, the guild shows up for Sierra's friend's kidnapping. Official investigations kick off, and all these clues pointing to the Cardiffs will be checked out by the guild. Meanwhile, in the Duke of Cardiff's palace, a breath is so loud it could wake the dead. Morris is raging about everything: his son's drama, the beef with the Gartner family, and now the slave market attack. The old dude's with a young woman and asks her what she thinks about Theodore being mixed up in all this. The woman is Lynette Caird, a witch who tries to hug him to chill the old dude out. But the man can't chill, knowing there's tons of evidence left at the slave market that'll be checked by the guild, and it was all her idea. The woman says she only came up with it to stop their funds from going down the drain. Morris gets even more ticked and storms off, while she watches him leave with a sneaky grin, hinting at some plan. The captured hostages were going to be sold illegally, and the experiments would totally boost the witch's progress. But everything's got to be set up to hit a bigger goal, to reach the Moonlight Temple on the lowest floor of the border city's maze. This thing with her and the Cardiffs can't keep going, 'cause the way it is, the woman's putting herself in danger. Right when the woman makes this call, Morris's desperate screams echo. He's getting busted for murder and kidnapping, so the witch decides to bounce fast before things snap on her side, and she'll have to ditch her research. But Duke Morris won't go down easy. He fires his water magic icicle lance at the guards. The Duke's wild move grabs attention and the guards call for backup. The commander insists he gives up without a fight. Then the old man starts begging and says it's all the woman's fault on the balcony. With all his lung power, the Duke shouts that Lynette did everything, unfairly blamed. The witch grips the balcony railing. A weird noise starts up, the ground shakes, and from the depths, an undead Hydra pops up, awakened by Lynette. With crazy boldness, Morris is thrilled to see an escape route open, and now he can bail. But looking at the woman more closely, the Duke notices her eyes are red, her skin purple, and miasma oozes from her, signs of a demon. The witch says she'd like a break from the old man. His bad vibes were tasty, and she enjoyed them a lot. But it's all over now. And with a breath from her lips, the man's body gets zapped by this energy. The woman curses the Duke, shocked that someone as useless as him could have betrayed her. But as Lynette checks out her dead prey, the mage knights start casting spells at her, calling her a monster. However, the witch dodges the attacks and asks if she's really the monster here. Her Hydra faces off with the guards. While feeling the echoes of human agony and despair, Lynette buzzes with excitement. The soldiers are running for their lives and reporting to the authorities what they saw there. Now the woman doesn't need to lower herself as a puny human. She decides she'll hide in the maze and find paths to the lower floors. The villain is hyped to feel the despair and pain of the priests and priestesses, which must be delicious. But before moving on, the woman steps on a spot, and her Hydra starts getting zapped by an energy. To dodge it too, Lynette jumps away. When she lands again, the witch notices a boy is summoning a magic circle. Within that circle, the Hydra starts to squirm in agony. It's an 8th class black magic, Demon's Eater, conjured by Theodore. In the magic realm, you can see tons of tiny demons munching on everything there. Despite dodging the boy's magic, the witch is totally ticked off. She shoots him a death glare, and our hero knows he's up against a real baddie. The munching sounds fade as the Hydra melts into magic. Lisette spots the hero grinning at the chaos, which only fuels her rage. The boy ends up hurting himself from using such epic magic with his bare hands. Cackling, the witch says he might be all smug about his magic, but it won't cut it against a demon. Theodore knows she's got the upper hand since she can zip around in the air. With a hand on his hip, the boy says he doesn't need a demon lesson and dares her to bring it on. Instead of charging, she starts hurling tiny spells his way. He skillfully bats them away with his staff, sending them right back at her. But when they reach her, they just fizzle out, and she doesn't even flinch. Now she's charging up another spell, taunting him to keep scuttling like a bug. To dodge, he whips out a flight spell, dodging like a pro, leaving the witch shook. Now she doubts he can dodge a miasma swipe and hurls dark magic his way. He dodges again, leaving her super stressed about how he's so speedy. Now our hero focuses a magic circle under his feet while still airborne. He pulls off a double jump, launching himself at the villain mid-air. A regular human juggling 3 spells at once, getting close enough to tap Lynette with his staff. Using levitation to float, a magic shield as a springboard, and air blast for speed, he pulls off a high-level move from a BFO legend. And from the look in the demoness's eyes, it's clear no one's ever done this before. Even Theodore is hyped to see he can take on a demon face-to-face. But it's not enough. He craves more power, more speed, more skills, always more. As his heart races, craving these powers, the battle shifts, and the winner's clear. Lynette crashes to the ground, causing a massive boom, her body taking all the damage. To wrap it up, our hero unleashes a 7th class wind magic, the Vortex Lancer. After the epic battle, the demoness lies on the ground and the hero approaches, and with her last breath, she calls him a monster. With a pout, the boy blinks and says he doesn't want to hear that from her. Without much chit-chat, he asks her to spill her goal before she vanishes. The witch says it was the Moonlight Temple, and someone like him should know what that means. To wrap it up, she asks his name, introduces herself, and tells him to be proud of being a demon slayer. Then she vanishes like dust, and now our hero ponders what she said about the Moonlight Temple. It's an uncharted area on the lower floor of the Termuillo's Labyrinth in BFO. In the game, there's a rumor a demon busted the seal and nabbed the treasure. The boy's still missing some deets. The guild will probably grill him about the demoness, so he thinks about dropping the Moonlight Temple to get them interested. The guild rolls up with his pals. Grace is super worried and says she heard a demoness showed up, so Ashley asks if he took her down solo. Then he gets a vibe and turns just as Sierra lands in his lap, making the other girls curious. The cat girl came because she heard Theodore was battling a demon, and when she finds out he beat it solo, she's amazed. The whole scene of a cute girl in the hero's lap makes things awkward. He lets her go and starts explaining how he met the semi-human girl, who's not with the Cardiffs. Ashley thinks the MC bringing them together is destiny and asks if the three can be friends. Beline greets the adventurers with a smile and a cheery good morning. The hero says he's there for the meeting they talked about, and she asks him to follow her, but she spots someone new. She checks if the girl there is the one who helped Theodore take down the kidnapper, known as Sheila. The semi-human girl isn't officially part of the squad yet, but she's been in the mix, so she's crashing the meeting too. Party signups can wait, so the adventurers gotta focus on the meeting first. Earlier, Beline spilled the tea that the girl snatched by the court is hurt, but wants to thank them face to face. This is clutch for grilling her about Demoness Lynette's schemes. Inside the maze, the monsters are on a different wavelength and always go after adventurers, even the chill ones outside, like they're trying to block their progress. Sheila mentioned her buddy Irmahilt might have some juicy deets about the labyrinth. Maybe the girl even knows the lowdown on the monsters lurking there. The receptionist guides the adventurers to where Irmahilt is chilling, and they stroll past her, until they spot a girl who looks a bit younger. The main dude steps up, introduces himself all smooth, and the young girl with the injured one is super hyped to see him. And the monster in the bed confirms he's the dude who saved them earlier, being mega polite. The long-haired girl says she got the guild to set up this meet so she could thank them in person. Deep down, the MC suspects the trio is using transformation tricks to look human. But the harpy's got feathers peeking out of her neck, and the mermaid's ears are fin-shaped. At first glance, only Lamia Irmahilt looks totally human. The Lamia flashes an adorable smile and thanks them again, but Theodore says she should thank her pal Sheila, because the little cat was the one who hustled and dug up info non-stop. Then the boy realizes he forgot to intro his crew, and everyone there gets acquainted all friendly-like. The girls are bouncing back well despite the snooze fest of being stuck in a hospital bed. Sheila notes her friend seems pretty healthy, and the Lamia explains that when they were nabbed, they couldn't be harmed since they were the goods. And the little cat says she waltzed in through the front door even though she's from the Bandits Guild, thanks to Theo's help. Since the two pals hadn't caught up in ages, the young hero figured it's best to save the questions for later so they could chill. A bit later, he pops back into the room and asks to fire off some questions, starting with where the two were before landing here. But the mermaid and the harpy spill that they were snagged by magic, then poofed into the cells. This is a forced summoning from outside the city, probably a sneaky move only Lynette's demon powers could pull off. The city's got layers of barriers to keep wild monsters out or from being summoned. Even so, these girls and the demons slipped through the cracks and got in, which must have been a major headache for the temple and the royal castle. But this also means they're safe, as they're key witnesses and no one's gonna mess with them. Irmahilt, though, is a different story because she lived in the city but was born in the labyrinth. It's Theo's shot to dig into this mystery. The protagonist knows there's not much intel on the labyrinth. Some folks say it's linked to other worlds. Then the Lamia starts sharing what she knows, saying she vaguely remembers living in a sort of village, but it all felt like a dream. Everyone there, including her, lived in a set way and a programmed lifestyle. To the MC, this screams NPCs and games, so he asks why the girl bailed from there. Irmahilt doesn't quite recall how she left, but one day she was outside, and everything started to pop with color for the first time. But in return, the labyrinth began to reject her, and she noticed the monsters roaming the labyrinth were way different from those in the village, because each one in the village has its own vibe, while the wild monsters are all about that death life with no personality. Still a bit puzzled by this tale, the hero asks if the Lamia has parents. She says yep, and that there's a law in the village that they can't leave. Theo's never bumped into any friendly monsters in the labyrinth, but even though the place messes with their minds, they still have a sliver of their own will. All he can think is that this law is meant to isolate and protect, but the question is, from who and why? Then the boy asks if she has any clue who made this law, but the girl says she never really thought about it. Finally, the Lamia gives a sweet smile with all her chill vibes to the MC, and says all this is pretty mysterious. Alright, so here's the deal. Our dude thinks finding villagers on the higher floors of the labyrinth is a no-go. Apparently, no one's ever spotted them up there, and it seems like they're not into visitors or letting anyone bounce. Irmahilt's like, "Welp, guess we can't go villager hunting right now." Theo's not too sure the guild's gonna be much help either, but he's super curious, and if there's any tea, it's getting spilled to the Lamia. These two buds, who haven't seen each other in ages, hug it out and vow to team up. Our main guy's all fired up, ready to crack the mysteries of the monsters in the labyrinth. He's convinced this is the key to figuring out why they're even there. Later on, our dude's all, "Sorry for bombarding you with questions," to Shirley and Irmahilt. The cat girl just signed up as an adventurer and is sticking with the hero squad now. Feeling a bit shaky, she asks if having a bandit guild member in the crew is cool, but our guy's chill with it. He's like, loads of adventurers are in that guild, no need to grill her with magic. The Adventurers Guild sees her as a hero for busting up a slave market, so she can relax. Switching gears, the MC's like, might be jumping the gun, but you got plans tomorrow, demi-human? The squad's thinking of hitting the Labyrinth, and it's Ashley's first rodeo, so any help's clutch. The Baroness rolls up and formally asks for the Catgirl's backup. With a big smile, Shirley's all, can't wait to roll with the hero crew. In some sketchy spot, Shirley's like, heads up, 3 baddies on the roof, 2 in the water, that's 5 total. Ashley yells to Grace, I got the bats, while the maid's ready to tackle the frogs. The slimy frogs leap at her, and she's all set for a showdown. The half-vampire swings her massive axe, taking out some foes, while the Baroness conjures a magic circle to roast the bats. As some flying baddies buzz around, a toxic mist shows up, and Ashley's calling for Theodore. Now there's a heap of monster loot from the hero squad's hunts, and Beline's impressed at the guild. Even though it was 2 members' first time, they crushed it and cleared a monster room. Ashley scores a gauntlet the boys found, so she's got more muscle for her mace. The guild's gonna check out the loot, and meanwhile, some dude wants a word with the MC. The guy's been waiting for him to leave the Labyrinth, and now he's like, heard a lot about this mage. Meet Chester Glenville, who's got a special invite from the royal castle for the Demon Slayer. The king's gonna be there too, and it's happening in 5 days. Theo's not super hyped, but he's like, guess I gotta go. And the guy bounces. Judging by the dude's look, he's probably a knight. But why the MC's invited is a head-scratcher. Rumor has it the mages and knights at the castle aren't vibing, so there might be some sneaky stuff going on. Since he took down the demoness, the guy figured invites would roll in, but better to show up so no one's talking behind his back. Plus, the mage wants to see how the intel from Lynette's being used, so Theo heads back to the counter with his crew. Days fly by, and the big night for the royal castle shindig is here. Our heroes are looking sharp and decked out in their fancy threads. They get a warm welcome from a butler, grab a seat, and hear the castle staff's call. The king steps up on the balcony and kicks off his speech, saying the event was meant to boost connections. But with the Cardiff drama and the demoness showing up, lots of families are grieving soldiers, and the king wasn't sure about the banquet. Still, after folks pushed for it and thinking the soldiers' bravery should be honored, the event's on. For as long as there are brave soldiers like those who have passed, the king is sure our awesome Beldgar will always stay strong against those pesky demon attacks, so His Majesty wants everyone to chow down and drink up until they're all warm and fuzzy inside, as a gift for the noble souls who gave it all. Melvin lifts his glass and gives a shout-out to all his fallen soldiers. Then, he talks about the young hero who soloed the demoness, and knowing there's someone that brave in the kingdom makes him super happy. And the king heard this kid's at the party tonight. He scans the crowd and spots Theodore. Our main dude feels mega embarrassed with all those eyes on him and just wants to chill and enjoy the party. Out of nowhere, some knights start marching through the castle halls, and while watching, our boy gets interrupted. A girl asks if he's Theodore Gartner, and he nods, wondering if there's a problem. She says someone wants to chat with him in another room and asks the mage to tag along. When they get there, Albert introduces himself as the 4th prince and shows off his sis Marlene and her buddy Ophelia, though our hero already knows them. Our guy also introduces his 2 fiancées, and the prince mentions he's engaged to Ophelia, another duh moment for the young man. Albert says he wanted to meet him because his buddy Talcott had good things to say and wanted to thank him, a solid icebreaker. But, since the boy's onto the tricks, it's tricky to respond right. Seems like Albert wants to keep his identity on the down low. Trying to roll with it, Theo says he doesn't think he did anything worth a thank you, but he gets it. Albert also wants to thank him for the demoness incident, as Talcott's dad got killed and the boy was suspected of demon dealings. In the end, he cleared his name, but things at the castle got super hectic. The young man is dealing with the fallout from the demon attack and found out something dangerous is sealed in the Moonlight Temple, and the demoness was after it. Grinning, the boy asks him to keep this info on the DL but says there's something even bigger. Some knights have beef with the protagonist, and he thinks it's key for the mage to know this. Honestly, the invite seemed fishy from the start, and he asks for more deets on the knights' moves. Albert says he heard the knights plan to form a team to explore the labyrinth to prove themselves, since they did nada against the demoness. But even if they did, the dragon knights would still be a joke, cause flying dragons are useless in the labyrinth. The protagonist asks if they mentioned anything about his flight magic in the royal castle. The boy's flight magic ended the dragon knights' air battle reign. They're scared of losing power, and that the protagonist might get hired by the royalty. Albert says some folks want him to spill the beans on his flight magic, but the king shut them down, saying it's not smart to tick off someone powerful like the protagonist. Winking, Theo says he gets it, and asks what the catch is for all this info. Then, the young man says just making friends is cool, but he knows someone who really needs a mage, his buddy Alfred. He thinks Alfred could do some epic stuff with magic control, and the hyped young man asks if Theo's down to help. The protagonist agrees but feels a bit bummed because he knows the trickster's talking about himself. Our hero heads back to his fiancée's and another dude shows up to thank him for being there. It's Lord Chester. The guy just won the jousting tourney and thought he'd say hi to the guest of honor. Not wanting any drama, the boy decides to be 100% real with Chester and says he wants to chat about some stuff in private. Then, they head to the castle's underground where the knights train. The protagonist spills that he heard rumors the dragon knights feel threatened by him. At first, the dude tries to deny it, but with a little push, he grins at the boy. And he admits he doesn't like him. A pesky mage daring to invade the skies. And now the king and the knight captain want him at the event. Still chill, the hero asks why Chester's got beef with mages. With a scowl, the dude snaps back, saying mages are all sneaky, hiding behind bushes, and demons should be squashed without those tricks. And then, the knight brags that a dragon knight could totally handle miasma, daring the young guy to prove him wrong. The mage fires back, saying he'll make the young dude eat his words with his skills. If a pretend battle is all it takes to convince him, then he's game to face him. The showdown is about to kick off, and Chester's all, if he wins, the protagonist has to promise not to mess with the royal castle's biz. Theodore's like, deal. But if he wins, the knights gotta stop poking their noses into his stuff. They square up and dive into battle. The knight's shocked by the strength and pressure, even though his opponent's still got a kid's body, realizing he underestimated him. After blocking a strong hit from the young hero, Chester's like, no more holding back from now on. The young dude starts charging energy at the tip of his staff aimed at Theodore. It's his meteor thrust move, but the protagonist isn't phased, countering with the haze sweep. Chester's stunned his attack got blocked and ends up face-planting into a wall while the mage sneaks up from behind. Theo's staff lands a solid hit on the young dude's ribs. The pain's so intense he drops to his knees, now at a disadvantage. Our hero asks if he's ready to admit defeat, and the knight, without a fight, says yes, but as a knight, he can't stand that style. If the protagonist's strong without magic, he shouldn't need cheap tricks against demons. The boy says he respects Chester's chivalry, but he's got his own fighting style and isn't changing it, especially when it comes to demons. Remembering he'll never forgive those cursed demons who took his mom. Trusting the knight to keep his word, Theo leaves the battle scene and heads back to his squad. The two ask if he's alright and how it went, and the young dude says Chester promised to keep the knights out of their hair. Ashley spots a girl in iron armor who says His Majesty wants Theodore to have an audience, and he's ready to reward him for his feats, and his crew's also invited to the king's tower. About the ring holding Grace's powers, better hope the seal stays intact while they're in the castle. The adventurers stroll to the door leading to the royal audience hall, and before going in, the knightess gives the protagonist a quick once-over. As the doors swing open, there's a fancy room with two massive thrones in the center, servants and guards all around waiting for the hero. The trio kneels before the king, who says the son of Count Herney and Saint Lisa can speak directly with him so he can lift his head. Being the son of a saint and a magic whiz, the boy's got the right vibe for a demon slayer. A bit awkwardly, the MC locks eyes with the monarch, who says he's into prodigies like him. It's awesome having someone so promising in turmoil, but His Majesty wants to know his goals, asking the young dude to spill the beans. Theodore says he came to the kingdom for the Labyrinth, and wants to explore it to train and keep adventuring. King Melvin covers his mouth, saying even after beating a demon, the boy still wants to train in the Labyrinth, which is super reliable. And now the king wants to reward him for his feats. The girl in iron armor shows up with a chest. After some digging, Melvin found out the MC was hunting for a staff matching his magic power, and they just happened to have it in their treasure stash. A stunning staff with dragon designs is gifted to the young dude, called Dragon Staff Ouroboros. An adventurer from back in the day brought this staff from the Labyrinth and offered it to the royal palace. It's a hefty weapon, crafted with care, looking like it can handle the hero's magical power stress. He's itching to zap it with some mana and see what happens, but doing that here might be a bit too extra. But then, as if the king's got mind-reading powers, he's all chill about it, saying the dude can test it out because he's a solid guy. The king probably caught the hero's vibe from his face, all smiles and stuff. So, gripping his weapon tight, the boy starts juicing it up with mana and, boom, realizes this thing's a total game changer. His magic's flowing like usual, but it's like the weapon's giving him a power-up, boosting his magic and muscles. This weapon's definitely built for spirit circulation, perfect for a battle mage who's into martial arts. The knights told the king the young dude's got mad skills with staff arts. Then Theodore grins and says thanks for the epic gift. Later, the adventurers bounce from the royal crib and head to their ride. Back home, Sheila's chilling on the roof, waiting to greet them. She's been on lookout duty in case the knights showed up while they were out, keeping tabs on everything. The hero invites her for some tea and they all roll into the house. The cat girl's curious about his next move, and he's all about hitting the labyrinth again. His big goal's the 20th floor, but let's be real, he's hyped to try out that sick new staff, the epic staff from King Merlin's glowing in the sunlight. But the boys' eyes? Not so much. They're all moody and stuff. They were supposed to hit the labyrinth, but now they're at a hot spring, and the girls are having a blast while he's sulking. Grace and Ashley are rocking cool swimwear, and the other girls are just vibing. Earlier, Hilt welcomed the adventurers from her recovery bed. Sheila was stoked to see she's doing well. The hero and the cat girl planned this visit the night before. The feline nudges Heather, asking if her friend can be let go, but Heather's like, after the demoness drama, everyone's on edge. But for the Lamia, chilling's no biggie, as long as everyone knows she's okay. She's talking about the kids at the Chill Orphanage in the Western District, where they met. Theo figures she's been there since she surfaced, and maybe the orphanage crew knows more about her past, worth checking out. Switching gears, the guild receptionist says Hilt can go if she's got an escort. This might mess with the labyrinth plans, but it's gotta be done. The adventurers decide to roll with her as backup, and Heather's cool with that. All set for the next adventure, they head to the orphanage. The kids spot them and rush over, super excited. An old lady shows up to greet them and calls her mom. Later there's a feast, and the kids are over the moon with all the yummy food. Grace is helping serve, and the little ones are all grateful. The Lamia's like, she's sticking with adventuring, got some gigs lined up, and that's sorting her out. Sheila waves her friend over to join the feast. Theodore chats with the orphanage boss, who's been worried about since she's been MIA. Then the hero brings up the Lamia's past, asking if there's anything unusual from back in the day. The old lady says she was surprised when asked about the girl's origins. She seemed lost, but super sweet and polite. The boy starts thinking about fuzzy labyrinth memories. The lady gently tells him to look after Sheila and Hilt, and he's like, totally will. Suddenly, the cat girl's in his face, almost nose to nose, and she's asking if he's down for a beach trip, since Grace and the crew are planning to hit the waves. All the girls are buzzing, begging for the beach trip. It's a perfect way to celebrate comeback. The ladies all for it, saying they've got swimwear if they're game, so no way the MC could say no to the invite, right? Boom, they ditch the labyrinth plans and hit the beach instead. He's gotta wait till tomorrow to check out the Ouroboros, but hey, chilling at the beach and getting comfy with the water? Total win for labyrinth prep. Sheila snags this massive fish and is all, dinner's on me. The Lamia's loving the vibes, Ashley's swimming like a pro, and Sheila's all about that fishing life. Our MC, he's riding waves without a board, just flexing his water magic, thinking, maybe I can surf on land too. With the big fish caught, dinner's sorted, and they're having a blast munching away. As it gets dark, they're like, time to bounce. But wait, where's Theo? The kitten's all, he went to chat with and suddenly, there's music. It's the Lamia singing, and wow, her voice is stunning. The mage knows this tune. It's a classic kids song, probably learned it at the orphanage with the other kids. The hero rolls up, compliments her, and she's like, first time hearing me sing, I used to rock it at the guild. Speaking of the guild, they want to hire her, but she's into adventuring, though the demoness drama makes it tricky. Plus, she's not strong enough to head home, so she asks to stick with the Mac for now. Realizing she's rambling, she apologizes and asks why he wanted to chat. The mage, all serious, says he's gotta. Cut to the chase. With a solid voice, he asks Hilt to join their squad. Turns out, Sheila thought of it first. The kitten wondered if when could leave the guild, they could invite her to hit the labyrinth too. The girl knows her friend's not strong enough for the deep levels, but they're tight, like sisters. Theo thinks having more reliable peeps on the team would be epic, and he's all about unraveling the labyrinth's secrets. Plus, he promised the orphanage owner he'd look after her goddaughter. Extends her hand to the MC, sealing the deal, saying she's not sure how she'll help, but she's stoked to hang with Theodore. In some creepy spot, a spooky voice is greeting its demon crew at the Moonlight Temple. They lost touch with Lynette, their undercover agent in Termuili. No confirmation yet, but even though she was super strong, seems like humans took her down. Still, the plan's not toast. Using Lynette's intel, they're thinking of sending someone else to Termuil's. The place looks wrecked, and this dude in full iron armor steps up, ready to go. His name's Zevion, and the long-haired guy asks if he's cool with the mission. Since Zevion's a combat pro, continuing Lynette's work might be tough, but the mysterious dude's got a plan. The kingdom's noticed the Moonlight Temple's a big deal, and sent some knights. But now, glory-hungry folks are popping up, and he wants to use that to his advantage. He reminds Zevion that humans just beat a demon, so don't underestimate them. Then the mysterious guy's like, no worries, I'm bringing Zarbash. The long-haired dude grins wickedly, saying that's awesome. back with our adventurers, they're taking down monsters, and finally, Theodore gets to try his Ouroboros. He finds it tricky to nail the magic amount, and while he's thinking, an arrow whizzes by his head. It nails a tree monster sneaking up, courtesy of Ermuhilt's bow. Lamia's heard from Sheila about the boy's skills, but she's blown away by his strength. The MC's also wowed by the archer's skills, but then something catches his eye. A knight and some adventurers are having a chat. After the whole demoness drama, the knights are all about exploring the labyrinth. But, oh boy, their rules and freedom vibes are like oil and water, so, of course, there's some drama. Two tough guys are beefing over who gets to explore where, and the knights acting all high and mighty. Heather's like, "Chill dudes, you're making a scene." The adventurer steps up, all intimidating, asking who she sides with. Our main dude jumps in, asking them to quit it. The guy's like, "Respect me, I'm older." Theo's like, "Then act your age, bro." The knight takes charge and apologizes, saying he's heard about some bad knight behavior. Jasper, the hothead adventurer, wants to throw hands again, but his pals hold him back and say sorry for the chaos. Then, surprise, the knight takes off the helmet and it's Mercedia Corbett, the boss lady of the knights. She promises to chat with her crew to make sure this drama doesn't happen again. Later, the adventurers are chilling in their quarters when there's a knock on the main dude's door. It's Alfred. He asks if the main guy knows that once his workshop's open, he could use some help. The boy's like, "Yeah, I got you." He's shocked it's ready so fast, but even though it's still getting a makeover, it's good to go for potion making. They head out and bump into Grace and Ashley. In the carriage, the young guy's like, "Sorry for messing up Theo's weekend plans." There's a lot to chat about since they've got time before hitting the workshop. He mentions that Prince Albert wanted him to pass on a message, asking if the boy noticed knights patrolling the labyrinth. The knights are on the hunt for a sealed door in each area, but if the main guy's got beef with them, Alfred's got his back. These soldiers seem to have a plan, and speaking of plans, the main dude wants to chat about it too. The young guy guesses there's been some tension between adventurers and knights, but Theo brings up Miss Mercedia. She promised to keep things chill, but the hero's worried something might pop off any second. The knights might be rushing things, trying to find the door too fast. Alfred's like, if that's true, they might be gunning for Lord Chester's spot. Theo's like, wait, the same Chester? And the young guy's like, yep, he's a big deal, and after losing to you, he's back to training. Lord Chester switched squads, left the Flying Dragon, and joined the Labyrinth Exploration Squad. Our hero's feeling a bit guilty, thinking he might have caused this, and the young guy laughs, but the real deal is Chester's connections. Lord Chester was Princess Rosemary's fave, the second princess. She's got royal power and mad political connections. To stay close, he wants to impress her big time, so the princess started admiring Chester's strength, but he ditched his spot. To fill the gap and catch her eye, some knights are trying to shine in the labyrinth. One of them is Fernando from the Western District, acting all shady. The main guy's deep in thought, trying to figure out what this mysterious dude wants by winning the princess's favor. But after all the chatter, they're finally at their stop. The boys hop out and reach the Brightwelt workshop. Alfred tells the main guy to spill any ideas for his magical gadgets. But all the protagonist can think about are sealed doors and the second princess. Looks like the labyrinth's gonna be wild for a while. In the royal castle, a meeting's going down. The princess lets the kneeling dude speak and asks what they've got to offer. A guy with long straight hair thanks Princess Rosemary and introduces himself as Ferdinand from the Flying Dragon Squad. So, here's the deal. The knights got the king's orders to hunt down these secret doors in the labyrinth, right? They're supposed to be the first ones to find them, and they want to report back to her, but the girls all, yeah, heard that one before. Ferdinand's all confident, saying he picked these dudes for this exact mission, cause they think they know where the door's chillin'. The princess, waving her fan like she's in a drama, says it's kinda wild he's putting all his chips on these randos. Then she's like, yo, find the door, come back to me, and I'll hook you up with a reward. The guys leave all hyped, even though they haven't found squat yet. They're partying cause one of them's got some shady pals in the western slums. Ferdinand's thinking if they play it smart, they'll win the princess's trust and get loaded. Fast forward, our squad's at the royal castle. Grace peeps all the knights around, showing how serious the kingdom's taking this labyrinth thing. But it's kinda awkward for them, being there after promising to stay out of it. Then Theodore spots this dude, Jasper, who was beefing with a knight earlier. Now he's just chilling with them. The MC's curious if his crew got paid for something, but the dude catches him staring and rolls up, asking if there's a problem. Fernando steps in, asking if they know each other, but the grumpy guy's like, nah. The mage is all, do the knights not know about the deal with Chester? Since the boy swore to stay out of it, but Fernando's not bothered. With a smirk, the long-haired dude's like, not here to scrap, don't care what you think, just stay out of the knight's biz. But the MC's not backing down, asking what he meant by that. Fernando just shrugs and walks through the portal, making it clear he's trying to score points with the princess. The hero asks Sheila if she knows where those guys went. She says they headed to the Dusk Forest. So, the squad decides to follow and see what's up with those dudes. The way those guys act, it's like they already know where the door is. Suddenly, sword clashing sounds echo, and the cat girl's like, "Someone's in trouble!" She leads the charge, and they sprint towards the noise, finding people battling plants and fungi. A nasty sounds messing with the warriors' focus, hurting their ears. Theodore spots Lord Mercedia among the fighters, and Grace jumps in to help. Ashley's on sleep duty, and Sheila's got Mercedia's back. Our hero's dealing with those sleep-casting shrooms, but then, boom, something blasts his way. The boy's like, "What the heck was that?" As gray smoke rises from a bush, he gears up to attack, spotting humans doing some sketchy magic circle stuff. It's those adventurers with Jasper. The armored guy's whining, and from his magic circle, a weird monster pops out. Theo charges at it, but before he can do anything, the adventurers vanish, leaving a fragment behind. It's a black teleportation gem, and the MC's wondering why those two had it. Later, Mercedia's all grateful, saying she might have been toast without the heroes. No one thought the monsters would team up like that. Definitely some human meddling going on. The hero asks if she's in charge of the Dusk Forest exploration, and she nods. Then someone calls her. A dude suggests hiring adventurers and asks if the heroes can help. Mercedia's like, "That could get messy. Past adventurer drama caused a blockade we can't lift." She thinks it's best to pull back for now, investigate more, then hit the forest again. While they're on the hunt for teleportation stones, she asks Theodore's crew to help them get back safely. The boy's all in, and the Night Lady mentions if those two were really summoning monsters, they gotta stay super alert till they're back. So, the squad teams up with the Knights, and there's a ton of mystery swirling around this spooky forest. A girl with a mega bright vibe and huge eyes perks up when she hears the main dude's name. Our heroes tiptoe through the dark forest, knowing danger's probably lurking like a ninja. Sheila's got those super ears, hears something, but Theo's already on it, sensing something's coming. The bright-eyed girl with the innocent look strolls up to the crew. The adventurers gear up, ready to throw down if needed. But they're all kinda shook by the girl's sudden appearance and the fact she's solo in the woods. Without a word, she just pieces out, running off. Theodore's like, "She might be a lost adventurer," and bolts after her. Everyone's like, "Let's go." And the main dude's wondering why she's alone. But no matter how fast they run, she's like a ghost. Maybe she's tied to the adventurers who were messing with Mercedia, so they gotta stay sharp for any sneaky traps. Out of nowhere, they stumble upon this super fancy door. The girl stops right in front of it, and with a chill voice, she calls the main dude's name, leaving everyone totally mind blown. She warns about a calamity coming and says demons gotta stay away, but our boy's like, "What does that even mean?" and asks if she knows her. Erm's like, "Not sure, but she seems familiar." While they're chatting, the girl just phases through the door and vanishes. The main dude's stumped about who she is and why she led them there, but his BFO memories are buzzing with ideas. Maybe it's a sealed door, and Irmohilt's memories of the Labyrinth are messing with her head. The mysterious girl might be the Labyrinth's guardian, based on her cryptic words. Plus, the door's all mysterious and important, 'cause she vanished like magic when she crossed it. Everything's wild. But the best move is to keep focusing on escaping the Labyrinth. The crew's exploring the forest, all mystery vibes. Suddenly, they spot a weird, glowing flower. The flower morphs into a freaky creature, and the adventurers get ready to rumble. After the showdown, they find a shiny crystal. It's the teleportation stone they needed. They bounce back using the magic stone, and now it's chill time. Mercedia's all, "Sorry for dragging you guys to the exit." Everyone's chatting about how the place was a monster magnet. Exploring in the dark was tough, and finding the stone was a mission. The teleportation stones got the main dude feeling sus, wondering if it's linked to Demon Lynette, who was all about these stones before she kicked the bucket. He's questioning if those adventurers were in cahoots with the demoness, or if there's a bigger baddie pulling the strings, controlling monsters and attacking Mercedia. Theodore's like, "Gotta tell the royal castle," and he's sure they've got a serious enemy. The night girl and the crew head to the castle to drop the report. As a thank you, she gives the main dude something handy. It's a pic of the inscriptions, making the report easier, and Theo's like, "I'll give you props for the find." After this epic adventure, they say their goodbyes. The cat girl seems to get a weird vibe or premonition while walking with the main dude. She pauses, looking deep in thought. Theo's concerned, noticing she stopped and zoned out. But she brushes it off, though you can spot someone's feet lurking behind a pillar. Meanwhile, Mercedia is apologizing for the chaos. Everyone was caught off guard, and the Labyrinth was no joke. Then, out of nowhere, hooded warriors ambush from above. Luckily, the warrior spots them before they strike and defends like a boss, rallying her team to fight back. The knight, all serious, faces off with the hooded figure, trying to flex her authority, hoping it'll stop the attack. The hooded figure charges in, delivering a knockout blow to the girl's neck, dropping her instantly. All the knights are getting wrecked, coughing and groaning in pain, taken down by the attack. A mysterious dude rolls up, laughing, knowing the ambush was a win. Two shady knights are having a super serious chat. One's all about keeping things low-key, and the other's like, "Yo, take the prisoner to the hideout." Fast forward, Mercedia jolts awake. She's tied up, but hey, at least her squad's still kicking. She's fuming, saying whoever messed with her crew is gonna regret it big time. But then, boom, footsteps, and a dude's like, "Knew you'd wake up fast, warrior." She locks eyes with her captor, and surprise, it's Fernando, who's all, "Yep, this was my master plan." He whips out a paper with a sealed portal pick, grinning like a villain, asking if that's her big goal. Now, he's gonna snag the glory and the pick for himself. He orders it to be sent to the king ASAP, and leaves the rest to Jasper. Jasper, the grumpy one, is like, "You got it, boss." And Mercedia's shocked he's been Team Fernando all along. The shady dude's like, "No credit, no cash, you know? They didn't plan on nabbing her." She's curious about their next move, but they promise no killing. Instead, they'll use some spells to keep her out of their hair. Everyone's cracking up, saying they're gonna have a blast. She's raging, calling them filthy jerks. And then, just when the baddies think they've won, the roof blows up like a fireworks show, and our hero bursts in. Jasper's freaking out, wondering how the kid found their secret lair. Showing off his trusty kitty, the hero's like, "Thanks to my awesome sidekick." Then he's all, "Ready to meet your doom, guys?" Jasper's stuck to the wall, trying to argue his evil plans with the hero. Mercedia's a bit flustered, saved by the kid twice, and wants to repay him somehow. Grace pops in, apologizing for being late, but everyone's cool. Ashley's on medic duty for the soldiers. Meanwhile, the hero's chasing Fernando, the mastermind behind this mess, with more to uncover. Mercedia's like, "Hold up, since this involves royalty, I gotta help." She wants Grace to tag along, feeling safer with her maid buddy. Sheila and Irma Hilt will escort Ashley and the crew, just in case there are more baddies lurking. So they all split up, ready to tackle their missions. Meanwhile, at the royal castle, the princess is on her nightly stroll, asking her companion what's up at this hour. The guy's like, "Sorry for the late chat, but I've got urgent news for Her Majesty." The princess is clued in, guessing they've found the sealed door. Fernando's all, "The knights have been digging deep and finally hit the jackpot. The door's engravings are the key, matching the pattern perfectly." After finding the door, the knights faced tons of challenges. They lost Lord Mercedia's unit to monster attacks, and the sneaky guy's like, "It breaks my heart." But the knight pushed through to report the find to the princess. Rosemary's sharp, sensing he's hiding something, but she'll acknowledge his efforts, and she'll reward him accordingly. But then, a voice cuts in, claiming the discovery. It's Mercedia and the squad, looking all serious. Fernando's mortified, not believing his eyes. The princess's maid tries to apologize, saying she couldn't stop them. Rosemary's chill, saying it's fine. Now she knows who the real fool is. She assures Mercedia she'll personally deliver the drawing to the king, and Mercedia can deal with Fernando however she wants. But before she can finish her thought, the girl drops a bombshell about something super important to her. The princess is all, "Why's the demon slayer tagging along? He's gotta have a reason, right?" The boy jumps in, spilling his suspicions that those two knights are actually demons in disguise. Fernando's eyes go wide, and he's all, "Wait, what?" practically yelling what the boy just said. Flashback time. Mercedia's chatting with Theodore, asking if he's sure this plan isn't totally bonkers. The dude's got no hard evidence, but he's got a gut feeling, especially with demons snooping around the Moonlight Temple seal. Plus, in the Dusk Forest, they were using monsters to mess with Mercedia, and she's like, "Whoa, what?" And then Theo drops the bomb that those two have something only demons can have, and he's got proof to show. Fast forward to now, the main character's got a tiny pebble, a piece of a black teleportation stone, between his fingers. He tosses it, and one of the suspects snatches it midair, no sweat. Laughing, the young dude's all, "Since that forest run-in, I knew you were tough, especially since you took down Lynette." As soon as he says the demoness's name, it's like case closed, folks. But shocker, Fernando's caught off guard too, realizing he brought demons into the palace. Oops. Clutching the gem fragment, the suspect's like, "Before the main event, I need a snack, since I'm busted. No escape now." Looking at the princess, the main character's like, "Gonna have to get a bit rough. Cool with that?" Grinning. The royal's all, "I'm the one who set this up, so go wild." And then, boom, a massive explosion rocks the castle. The epic showdown kicks off. Theodore's chasing the sneaky demon, Grace is charging the other, and Mercedia's going for Fernando. The demons are loving the chaos, and the vampire's up against one with a ponytail. But this demon's got wings and starts teasing the girl, saying she wants to beat him but can't even hover. Checking out her weapons, the demon's like, "Those giant axes are kinda cool," as she leaps at him. Elsewhere, swords are clashing, two knights duking it out for glory, but Mercedia's got mad skills, and with one swing, she sends her foe flying, leaving him stunned. He thought she should be locked up, but she's all, "You use dirty tricks, so unknightly." Not slowing down, she rains down sword strikes on her dishonored opponent. Fernando's like, "Whoa, she's using martial arts and totally owning it." She lands a final blow, and the guy's screaming like a banshee. Shattered by her attack, she stands victorious and totally honorable. Wrapping up her move, she declares there's no place for losers like him in her knight squad. Theodore sneaks a glance at the nearby battle, seeing his knight buddies got it under control. But while he's a bit distracted, the sneaky demon's prepping an attack, which Theo dodges like a pro. Then, he whips out a quick spell with his staff, telling the demon to stay focused. His spell's a bunch of mini magical cyclones that hit the enemy, called Resonance Mine. Even though it's a mega powerful hit, the smoke clears, revealing the enemy's silhouette still standing. Now the demon's true form is out, ready to unleash all his power. Both he and the demon fighting Grace suddenly transform. The warriors stand their ground. Mercedes is spooked, the princess is locked in, and the demon's like, "I'm Zebian, Flames of Hell, nice to meet ya." Zebian's a fencing pro, landing blow after blow, and he's all, "This is a blast." But first, the villain wants to know his opponent's name before he bites the dust. With his Ouroboros staff ready, our hero answers with a strong voice. Charging at the demon, he yells his full name, powering up the extreme heat and silver smoke move. The villain's unfazed, staring down the energy ball like it's nothing. Swinging his sword, Zebion dispels the energy, and the area fills with heat and miasma. Theodore's convinced that the miasma sword is no basic blade, and he's got two options: throw down with martial arts or whip out a magical weapon. Basically, our hero knows he's the only one who can take on this baddie, and they kick off an epic showdown, sword versus staff. The demon's all about trash talk, egging on our hero, yelling for the kid to quench his thirst for battle. Meanwhile, across the battlefield, Grace is squaring off with a skeletal demon who's all, "Hey, wanna hear my side of the story?" Dodging blows like a pro, the vampire's like, "Nah, not interested in demon drama." But the demon's persistent, claiming he's fighting for his starving demon buddies, blaming humans for their hunger. To feed his crew, he says they gotta dominate humans, but Grace is not about that life. Laughing, the demon's like, "Finally, you get it," and asks if Grace has noticed anything, and she spots a silver mist in the air. The enemies spread it everywhere, and it's not some lame poison, but she should watch out inhaling it. Otherwise, she might start seeing some wild stuff, and suddenly, Grace sees a familiar face instead of her enemy. It's Lisa, Theodore's mom, and the mist's making her see the demon as someone she loves. This ticks off the vampire big time. Her eyes change, and she's like, "How dare you use her face like that?" But then, Theo yells from afar for Grace to shut her eyes while he's still battling, and she listens. So she keeps fighting blind, which is tough, especially with the enemy yelling for her to open them. Our girl doesn't back down, swinging her giant axes by the chain. She knows if she uses Cadokius's eyes, she won't fall for that cheap trick. Her determination annoys the demon, but then, bam, she lands a hit, and the demon's like, "No way." Even with her eyes shut, she seriously wrecks the demon with a massive axe hit. The villain's coughing from the blows, and Grace gears up for one last attack, which is enough to take the demon's head clean off, and Grace starts laughing like a maniac. Meanwhile, Theodore and the demon Zebion are still going at it, the armored baddie charging at the mage who throws some ice spells. But the enemy blocks with his huge shield and even causes an explosion near our hero. Theodore's shocked by the move and realizes his opponent might have magical eyes. The demon's like, "Didn't think I'd have this much fun battling a human." But he's ready to get serious, saying it's time to wrap up the preliminaries. From here on, it's game on, and the result will be decided in a flash. But our hero peeks over and sees Grace's victory and Ashley waiting, so he knows he has to win. The demon's charging up a move, and Theo's not wasting time, pointing his staff and charging in. Seeing the hero's move, the enemy readies his sword for a vertical strike. Theodore blocks it, and they start an intense showdown, screams echoing in the distance, but with magic, Theo pushes him back. Even after a big explosion, the enemy's still standing, and Theo charges again, this time from behind with a piercing strike. With all his determination, he cracks open the demon's chest. Now or never, it's time to end this fight. But with just a glance, the demon causes an explosion near Theo. It's those magical eyes. Theodore manages to back off a bit. Then, the enemy charges energy from his mouth and blasts it at Theo, who barely dodges. But, surprise, it wasn't Theo, just an illusion to trick the demon, and the real Theo's behind, ready to ambush. Catching the enemy off guard, Theo unleashes a 9th-level ice magic, Glacial Fortress. This freezes the demon into a statue, and then Theo shatters it, creating a stunning snowfall. Grace, Mercedia, and the princess watch the romantic snow falling from the starry sky. Whoa, plot twist. The enemy's still kicking and starts cracking up, saying they totally sent the wrong report this time. They sent a messenger to spill the beans to their buddies about the door, and now it's too late to chase him down. But instead of chatting about the Moonlight Time seal, they should have been all eyes on Theodore Gartner. Zebian's heard there's a way to break free from his boring snooze-fest days, so he jumps on board with them. But hey, battling it out like that with so much fun, who wouldn't? The Demon Slayer's super grateful, but the young dude charges in and lands the final punch. Boom! The powerful demon bursts into shiny bits, and down below the princess is watching, totally mind-blown. Fernando's face is a mess, and he's whining about why he's got to deal with all this drama. Mercedia's standing tall, saying the dude attacked the knights and teamed up with demons because of his own greed, so he should at least take his punishment like a knight. Meanwhile, Theodore's got front row seats to the chaos, and the knight's heading his way. The young lady checks if the boy's sure he doesn't need help with his injuries, but the hero's all, nah, just a little burn, no biggie. With a sorry look, she says this whole mess happened because of the knights and asks for a pardon. But the main guy's like, no one saw those two demons sneaking in, so it was bound to happen. From here on, the knights will handle it, and the captain of the knight squad will drop by later to chat about what went down. The boy's looking wiped out, explaining he's still a kid and really needs some Z's. Grace and Theo bounce, and Mercedia gets it, smiling, cause the boy's got a point. Back home, the trio crashes, recharging after all the action. But it doesn't take long before Mercedia rolls up in a carriage, catching the boy mid-nap. She says she's not here as a knight, but she's got a royal message. His Highness Melvin wants to chat about the Labyrinth and hear about the demon the young dude took down. And the king wants Grace to tag along too, cause there's a reward for slaying the demon. The main guy's like, we're in, and Mercedia thanks them with a grin before heading out. Soon enough, the two adventurers are chilling at the royal palace, and the king gives them a warm welcome. Melvin's all, heard about your epic feats from Mercedia, extending his hand. The boy bows, super thankful for the royal invite. The king tells him to chill, no need for formal talk when it's just them. But before diving into business, the king wants to introduce two peeps, and in walks an old dude and a serious-looking young woman. The guy's Ricardo, the royal court mage, and he gives Theo props for his work. And the young woman? That's Mildred, the knight captain, thanking the young man for saving the day and Mercedia. Then the captain turns to the king, asking if she can drop the knight's report first. The report's about Mercedia's attack and the demons Fernando brought to the castle. They used some magic interrogation but didn't dig up much on the two demons. The main guy says the two were rolling with an adventurer named Jasper, so the young woman probably didn't know them. Mildred's all flustered, saying she's gonna make sure Fernando gets what's coming to him for all the chaos. But the main dude's like, they snuck into the team I put together, so the knights aren't to blame. The woman thanks him for understanding and wraps up her report, passing the mic to Theodore. About Zebian and Zarbash, they were on the same mission as Lynette, checking out the Labyrinth. They summoned a familiar to gather intel. Zebian says the familiar already reported on the sealed door, and the baddie mentioned the Moonlight Temple was a roadblock for them. The king's curious and asked Ricardo about the seal. The mage says he cracked some ancient manuscript codes and got some deets. Back in the day, there was a showdown between the temple and the demons. The temple won and snagged something from them. Nobody's really sure what it is, but since the demons are all about getting it back, letting them win is probably a no-go. So the Moonlight Shrines got these barriers to keep out the nosy folks. Past the door, there's a jewel that's like a VIP offering to the 4 big spirit bosses. The monarch's all, hey, if there are 4 spirits, are there 3 more doors? And the mage is like, yep, you got it. There's this moment when the energy-powered barriers take a nap. Before that, they gotta do a ritual to juice up the jewel with spiritual energy. But they're kinda clueless about what to do after busting through the sealed door, cause bugs went all munchy on a crucial part of the manuscript. Still, they know other doors are a thing, and the knights, especially Chester, can go all detective mode. The main dude's thinking the demons probably know more, but something's jamming their signals. Checking out the seal's doodles, the boy's like, whoa, this looks like a map for a road trip. The door's pattern is all celestial body vibes. Maybe when the stars align, the door's gonna swing open. Then Melvin's like, yo, the celestial body's in the temple's hood. Need a hand? The young dude's like, bummer, The heroes can't stop the demons from getting the 411, so they might send a villain squad. No clue what the baddies are cooking up, but after those 2 demon attacks, the city's gotta stay woke. But hey, now the monarch's in the loop, and when the door opens, they'll rally the squad to the temple and snag the other 3 doors. Then the king officially asks the hero if he's down to throw hands with the demons in the next showdown. Our MC's like, even without the ask, I'm all in to take them down. Melvin's super thankful and says it's time to switch topics. For cracking the sealed door mystery and taking out Demon Zebian and Zarbash, the heroes are getting some sweet loot. The monarch's like, so, Theodore or Grace, any change of heart on what we talked about? But the boy's all about that adventurer life. And the vampire's cool as long as she can roll with her master. The king closes his eyes, saying it's cool, but even though he just dropped a big ask, there's one more thing. He wants to hook them up with an official title. Not just a fancy name, but something special with no strings attached. The dude asks Ricardo, and the mages chill with it, just like Mildred, who thinks the title should shout out the young man's wins. Backing up the lady, the mage says they need a title that's court-level epic. It's gotta have clout, like, no mistaking it for just a fancy badge. Melvin's like, it's gotta be Labyrinth themed, so we need to whip up a new gig or title for him. All this chit-chat's wearing out our hero, who's known where this was heading from the start. After a lot of back and forth, the king declares the MC will be the Labyrinth Explorer as his official rep, with a title everyone will get. Theodore Gartner, the king dubs him, through this meeting, the ambassador of the underworld. With this title, he's gonna roll out on behalf of the monarch, and there's a little something extra for when he hits a snag. As a prize for taking down Demon Zarbash, Grace gets knighted and will work directly under the ambassador of the underworld. After the marathon meeting, the 2 adventurers hit up a swanky room and a voice is like, "You're late." The princess rolls up, fan in hand, saying the boys' demon smackdown was a real showstopper. Getting all up in the protagonist's space, she taps the fan on his neck, asking if he'd want to be her sidekick. The main dude just gives her a nah look, swats the fan away and says he's already got a gig from the king. A bit bummed, the girl's like, "Fine, since you're my dad's guest, I'll let it slide." The princess grumbles that all the buzz is about labyrinths or demons, which is mega dull, and she turns away, leaving the main dude behind. The boy snaps back, saying if she's hunting for a Chester or Fernando replacement, she's gotta look elsewhere. Our hero rolls in, introducing himself, saying he's got a royal mission to check out the sealed gate and wants the 411 on the progress. The young woman points to an entrance, saying, "It's that way." While climbing some stairs, the boy spots a young woman waiting for him, who introduces herself as Penelope, the chief priestess. She says she's heard all about the boy's epic adventures and that they've got orders from the royal palace to help him out as much as possible. The mission? Find the link between the door's carvings and the stars. The priestess has called in all the astronomy whizzes as soon as they got the news and dove into the ancient temple scrolls. Turns out, the pattern on the door is all about the planet's moves. From this, they figured out when the door will open, but it looks like the gate's seal in Dusk Forest might crack in winter. Seems like the demons have timed their moves to hit the gate then. The temple will keep digging and will update if there's any news. The main character thanks them and asks about the young woman who's been sneaking peeks at them. Penelope calls her, "Your Highness Marlene." Theodore says hey and mentions it's been a minute since he last saw her. The young woman also invites her in, telling her not to hide. But the young girl gets shy, bolts, and slams the door, leaving them behind. The priestess asks if the boy knows Marlene. He explains they met at the royal palace, but it was a quick meet. She apologizes, but explains there's a reason for the girl's behavior, as now the young girl can't speak. When she was little, she got poisoned, and her mom used a spell to take the poison herself, but it left her speechless. The king, super bummed by the whole thing, sent his daughter to the temple, and with her strong magic, she became a priestess. One day she'll be a big deal, even if now she's just learning the ropes. But Penelope says she'd do anything to help her, hoping everything will be cool even when she's not at the temple. The little girl lost her voice, her mom, and got sent to the temple. The main character feels for her and gets why she's distant. But one day, Princess Marlene will find a place to chill in peace. Our hero leaves the temple and meets up with Sheila and Imu Hilt. They want to chat about some stuff with the boy. He and Grace are doing special training with golems to gear up for the next battle. Sheila, no shame, says they want to crash at the protagonist's place too. Since the boy's been super busy, if they all stick together, they can always have each other's backs. Grinning, the young man says his place has extra rooms perfect for them, but they'll still need Grace's okay. Quickly, the little cat says she'll handle it and dashes off with her buddy. Our main character's actually hyped about it, thinking things will get way more fun. A booming voice welcomes everyone to the Brightwell workshop. The adventurers are greeted by their host's excitement. Alfred asks about the young women with the hero and if their gear's too heavy. Theodore says that's on the agenda, but first he wants to introduce someone. But the person vanishes. The girl is actually clinging to his back, and she's one of his relatives, Marion, brought there for a change of scene. Plus, she's a super well-behaved kid and can stay quiet. Grace tries to say hi, but the shy girl doesn't respond. But the vampire's got a trick and asks if Marion's into embroidery. Boom. The girl's eyes light up. The girls gather for embroidery, and the maid invites her to join. Prince Albert, disguised as Alfred, says the girl is his relative, but besides being mute, she really looks like someone. Sure thing, Marion's actually Princess Marlene from Beldgar, probably pulled a magic makeover just like the prince did. Now our main dude gets why the young guy was all about bringing the girls along. It's chill for the little one to hang with other gals and just vibe. But then, they start chatting about work stuff, and the young guy's all, "Yo, since you're an ambassador now, you gotta talk all fancy." Theo's like, "Oh, and His Majesty's got a mission for us. We gotta team up with the royal fam to take on the demons." So, realizing his training's about to get hardcore, the boy figures he better fix up his gear and asks Alfred for a hand. Laughing, the young guy's like, "Gotcha, I can help. But first, let me spill some tea." He built this workshop and has been crafting magical gadgets, but now he's ready to level up and take on bigger challenges. If the hero hits a snag in the labyrinth, he can count on some backup. Theo's like, "It'd be dope if we had a way to chat with peeps far away." Alfred shakes his buddy's hand, promising to do his best to help out. Speaking of magical gadgets, the young guy wants to chat about Chester. Now the Lord's probably exploring the big spooky swamp with a sealed door. Magical tools would make it a breeze. The hero's curious if Prince Albert can spill the beans. But nope, the knights swore not to meddle. Since the sealed doors are a big deal for the country, the young guy promises to keep him in the loop. With that sorted, the dude's gonna start fixing up the weapons and will give a shout when they're good to go. Theo heads over to where the girls are doing embroidery and chatting. Seeing the shy girl smile, he feels bringing them was a solid move. But when she spots him watching, Marion clings to Ashley and hides her face. The main dude's like, "Nah, it's not about being disliked," and decides to show the little girl a piece of paper. Folding it into a paper airplane, he sends it soaring around the room. Since planes aren't a thing here, it's probably the first time the little girl's seen anything like it. Her eyes light up with pure wonder. The airplane glides back to the young guy's hand, and all the ladies are amazed, so he takes the chance to approach the shy girl. He offers her the airplane, saying he wants her to have it, and it can fly without any magic. Looks like the plan worked. The little girl loves the gift, beaming at the main dude who now hopes she'll always be happy. Our guy dreams of the day Princess Marlene can chill in peace and quiet. Elsewhere, there's a lab set up with pipettes and glassware. A girl's voice says the silly boy had the guts to turn down her invite. But she ain't giving up. That power's too tempting to let go. She's determined to get it, no matter what. Going direct didn't work, but no need to meddle indirectly either. She remembers he's not the heir of the Lord Gartner fam, and that the fam's got drama, so that's her starting point. With a sneaky laugh, she thinks this is getting juicier by the minute. The sky's cloudy and Grace and Theo are checking out the view. It's autumn, so it's getting a bit chilly. Then the boy spots a familiar carriage rolling up. No doubt it's the Crest family ride. A fancy dude steps out and greets the main guy, who says it's been ages since they last hung out. That's his dad. The gentleman grins, saying it's been forever since he saw both Theodore and Grace. Everyone's all smiles and decides to take the convo inside. As they head into the house, the main dude notices his dad seems a bit more worn out. Since Lisa's been all hard eyes for Count Henry Bertram Gartner, things got super awkward between the dad and son, and the rest of the fam's not vibing either. Our main dude's all curious about why this guy's even here. To kick things off, the guy starts chatting about how the place is pretty dope and must cost a fortune. But the kid's like, nah. It's just 100 kirigu a month, and then Grace bounces, cutting the convo short. The maid rolls in with the tea, apologizing for the wait, and Ashley's tagging along. The guy's all polite, asking who the young lady is, and she's like, head of the Baron Schern's fam, and he's like, oh, you're the one from the rumors. Suddenly Sheila pops out from under the couch, saying she's heard enough, giving Theo a mini heart attack. Irma Hilt shows up too, saying she finally found her buddy, making things super awkward. After all the intros, Henry's sipping tea, saying it's lively here, just like the rumors. The guy spills that he heard about the kid beating demons, marrying Lady Ashley, and the Cardiff fam drama. And dealing with the king, the main dude's like, yeah, most of it's true. He's like, it might be hard for others to get it, but they're just doing their thing. No help needed, just like going home. But then the kid's dad's like, not trying to make him come back. Anyway, the guy sees that if the kid's tight with the king, there's no stopping him, especially with a title. If he tried to take him home, there'd be a major showdown with Catherine and the crew. Then Theo's like, "Why are you here?" And the guy's like, "Just checking on my son." Henry admits he never really took care of the kid, not even when his mom died or when the stepmom and siblings were after him. He thinks the kid probably hates him, but the main dude's like, nah, it's Catherine and her kids, Byron and Daryl, he's done with. And if he remembers right, when he heard about his mom's death, the big guy the little kid saw was at the grave, hurting just like him, on that awful day. So, no hard feelings towards his dad, and if he wants to visit sometimes, it's cool. Henry's feeling guilty for not being there, but Theo's like, moving out was his choice. Because of that, Grace got to chill too, and Lisa was just so awesome. Everyone stayed loyal. The guy turns to Ashley, saying as the kid's dad, he wants to give his blessing. But then, bam, a noise. And Sheila's like, someone's coming. A kid with a bowl cut and a face full of rage yells the hero's name. It's Byron, his half-bro. Henry jumps up, asking what Byron's doing there. But the kid's yelling about why he's visiting the bastard. With a serious tone, the guy tells Byron to chill, he's just visiting his son. But Byron's all dramatic, saying his dad's been tricked and Theo's out for revenge, so they need to cut ties with the mage. With a sneaky grin, the kid hints he's gonna tell his mom that Henry visited the main dude. Imagine what she'd do if she knew her hubby visited the kid who could mess with her inheritance. Theo sees the kids trying to use this to break ties. These days, the main dude knows what's up and why he's in this mess, but seeing the brat use Catherine's name to mess with his dad really ticks him off. The bowl-cut kid tells his dad to check out the people Theo hangs with, even a half-breed, not the type for a count's family. Byron's cracking up, roasting all the heroes' squad, and it's seriously getting on his nerves. Fed up with the nonsense, the dude whips out a spell, splashes the kid with a wave, and yeets him out the window. The wave smacks a wall and fizzles out, leaving the brat to crash land and get wrecked. He's yelling, asking who Theo thinks he's messing with. He also throws shade, saying it's cheeky coming from someone born of a side chick. Our boy claps back, saying he bounced to do his own thing. He snagged the title of foreign ambassador from the king himself and has full-on authority to rep the monarch about the Labyrinth. Byron's in disbelief, calling the young man a liar, but his dad's like, nah, it's the real deal. Theodore isn't someone who can be bossed around by his position, as he's directly under His Majesty Melvin. The kid's still not buying it and keeps denying it. Henry says he got all this clout because he took down some demons. Plus, he dissed someone ranked above his dad and everyone else there. It's his duty to bow down and apologize to those present. The boy's losing it with rage, saying he'll never bow to his half-bro. The young man only beat some demons using tricks and will be exposed now. A big magic circle pops up under the talker's feet, who now asks what the hero's gonna do. And he starts growling, saying the hero will use magic again and they should throw hands. Then, without a second thought, the MC dashes and knees the boy in the gut, grabs his wrist, spins, slams him down, and steps on him. While twisting his half-bro's arm, the boy says, "That's enough," and to zip it. Their dad turns away, saying this is bad news for Byron. Putting Byron's ignorance aside, if the boy had paused to think, he'd see the massive power gap between them. He's hereby stripped of the right to inherit as the next family head and must head back to the country ASAP. That news makes the boy totally deflate and go silent. Theo just watches. Outside the house, dad and son say their goodbyes, and the man apologizes again for his son's antics. With a grin, the MC says he'll be waiting for his dad again, and then the carriage rolls out. On top, Caduceus chills. Even though he feels bad, the hero thought it best to send his familiar to watch over his dad, because there's a chance Byron might get wild again, and once his stepmom hears her son lost the inheritance, who knows what she'll do. Our hero's totally sure this woman is super dangerous. Theodore says sorry to his friends about the drama with his half-bro earlier. They all say no worries, they've got his back no matter what. Then the boy says he'll check on his dad's situation through Caduceus. Using the vision-sharing ability, the boy starts seeing everything his familiar sees right now. Looks like the stepmom didn't waste time showing her claws and is yelling at Henry about the inheritance cut. Apparently they're in the reception room, and it's just his dad and Catherine there. The man explains the boy not only crashed a noble's house, but also dissed everyone living there and needs to be punished. The woman asks which family got dissed, but the man doesn't answer and says he wants to handle this mess solo. Then, screaming like a banshee, the woman says that as soon as they arrived, Byron's locked in his room. She already went to confront him, asking if the boy really snuck off to Theodore. Byron's someone totally used to the noble life. Catherine thought there couldn't be another person like the boy. Henry says it's not about who the boy disrespected, even if it's Theodore. Just for being the son of a mistress, the half-bro crashed his house. With a dry voice, the woman asks if there's any issue with that. The stepmom insists the punishment wasn't fair, and they argue about it. To shut it down, the man says the hero is now a direct subject of His Majesty, the King. Catherine's so shook by this news she falls back and knocks over a chair. Now knowing this, she tries to bargain, saying if they're nice to the hero, the young man will forgive Byron and all will be chill. Even though Henry's trying to explain that other nobles saw the kid acting up, the woman's all, nah, it'll sort itself out. No need to cut him off from the cash flow. Realizing her hubby's not budging, she asks if she can see her son now, and he's like, yeah, he's chilling in his room. With a frosty glare, she starts pulling out a secret package, probably some sketchy stuff to use on the dad when he's not looking. But that's exactly why our hero sent Caduceus, and with some hidden power, he totally smashes the coffee cup that would have been poisoned. Henry's like, whoa, how could she even think of doing that? The lady's all flustered, stuttering until the dude's like, enough already, everyone's had it with your drama, time to chill. He never thought she'd pull such a sneaky move. Catherine starts yelling, if my fam finds out what you did. But Henry cuts her off, saying they wouldn't dare. He's all, if Catherine's crew tries to mess with this, I'll stand up and defend justice as the head honcho. The woman loses it and lunges at him, grabbing his neck, making threats, and the servants rush in hearing the chaos. Breaking up the brawl, the servants are like, what's going on? And she's still screaming while Henry gets his cool back. He's like, my wife's confused. Better she chills in her room for a bit. Watching through Caduceus's eyes, Theo's relieved, thinking, phew, that was close. Dad must be wiped. The familiar snags some of the sketchy stuff she was gonna use. Good to check it out with the alchemist later. Wiped out, our hero crashes on the bed after all that drama. Next day, the boy hits the city, meets Beatrice, the alchemist, and asks her to check out the sketchy stuff. She's like, this isn't your average potion, it's magical. With a super complex mix, she needs to dig into ancient scrolls for clues. It's the all-round kiss. Whoever takes it loses all freedom, and the first to call them by name gets to boss them around. This stuff's not for play. If Catherine pulled it off, she'd have taken control at a crucial moment. Beatrice says the ingredients are super rare, and making it takes forever. The hero's like, how did my stepmom, who's no magic whiz, get her hands on this? Judging by her connections, her fam, Marquise Broderick, is super Seuss, maybe from their potion master. Next step, hit up Sheila's contacts, who knows what the thieves guild might dig up. The alchemist asks if this info helped, and he's like, totally. Elsewhere, a veiled woman's handling a super shady plant. After a bit, Sheila's back, and Theo remembers he sent her to track the poison source, asking if the kitty found anything. She's like, there's a fortune teller Catherine trusted. They were seen together at a royal ball. Then she shows a paper, saying they can check the guest list here. Looks like Anastasia Alderisman's the one, a famous fortune teller from a rich fam, always at social events, and the nobles digger. Though Sheila hasn't seen her face, better not drag other nobles into this mess. Theo decides to swing by the castle to prep. But at the palace, he can't meet the king, who's busy with the national protection ceremony for 3 days. Seems like the heroes chat with the king about the fortune tellers on hold. A familiar face pops up. It's Prince Albert, saying it's rare to see him there and asks if he's got something to chat about. The main dude figures it's cool to spill the tea to the prince, so they take a stroll around the castle. But suddenly, while walking, he spots Princess Marlene, all smiles, wandering through the castle. Prince Albert's back. And guess what? He brought Theodore as a souvenir. The kid's blushing like he just got caught with his hand in the cookie jar. But hold up. Something's off. The princess usually chills in the temple for safety, right? But hey, too much temple time can make anyone feel like a caged bird, so she's hanging at the castle for a bit. The princess tags along for a stroll, and she's totally vibing with every view they pass. When they hit the castle's peak, she beams like she just found a hidden stash of candy. Albert's all, mind if we chat after my sis has her fun? Theodore's like, dude, I'd never rain on the princess's parade. The little girl's zooming around like a headless chicken, no GPS needed. Then, boom, she whips up a paper airplane, just like the hero showed her. But wait. Plot twist. Our boy remembers teaching Marion, not Marlene, the airplane trick. She sends it soaring from the balcony, stirring up some drama. The main dude's trying not to crack up, and as the plane glides, Albert's like, let's talk serious stuff. With a voice as serious as a math test, Albert spills that pretending to be Alfred was a major oops. Even though he's royalty, his spot's shaky, so he had to use a ring to play dress up and do what he couldn't before. But Theo's all chill, like, bro, your vibes were so similar, it was easy to crack the code. Albert's worried their bromance might hit a rough patch, but he hopes the main guy's still got his back. Theodore's like, since we're spilling secrets, is that magical gadget for Alfred ready? The young man nods, showing off the prototype. Albert's been pulling all-nighters, fusing anti-demon spells into the gadget, and it's ready to roll. With a guilty grin, the main dude asks if more gadgets would tick off the prince. The boy's like, nah, just means more late nights for me. Later, the main guy's at Lady Anastasia's mansion, knocking until someone answers. It's a mannequin, magic-controlled, and it leads him inside. As he walks, he's wondering if the doll's got a mind of its own or if it's just a puppet. Deeper in, a veiled woman, Anastasia Alsarisman, greets Theodore like she was expecting him. The boy's got questions about a recent ball and she offers him a seat, mentioning a morning visitor just left. Curiosity piqued, Theo asks if the mannequin's a familiar. She says it's magical, but not quite that. The boy eyes the doll suspiciously, thinking it might be under some spell to serve so loyally. Anastasia praises the mannequin's work ethic, offers tea, and tells him to sip before it chills. Our hero's spidey senses tingle, but he drinks anyway. Suddenly he drops the cup, and it shatters. Anastasia giggles, revealing he just drank the all-round kiss. Now he's under the fortune-teller's spell, and she's pondering where to start. Our hero's guard slipped, and now he's got to spill his deepest secrets to her. Anastasia's like, spill the tea on your secrets and weaknesses. The boy starts with, after that thief stabbed me, I couldn't wipe my PC's data. The fortune-teller stares at the boy, totally confused, like he just spoke an emoji or something. But before she can even say, huh? This wild energy wraps around her, trapping her like a magical burrito. The woman's all, how'd you do that? And our hero, grinning, says it's all thanks to his anti-demon bling. Then, the girl starts sending a whole army of mannequins at him, like it's a Black Friday sale. Yelling, the hero calls for Ouroboros, who pops up out of nowhere, ready to party in his hands. With a flick of his staff, the boy smacks down all the mannequins, leaving the fortune-teller totally shook. The girl's freaking out, yelling about the mess in her house, and bam! He's suddenly in a greenhouse. The hero spots an all-round sprout and realizes the place might be a toxic jungle. Anastasia shows up, saying she doesn't get why he's here, but all this chaos is gonna be a big oof. Out of nowhere, a skull with armor and swords appears, like a spooky surprise party. Theodore's shocked she summoned a Spartoi, a top-tier magical beast, but he's not scared. He charges at it, telling it to move, but the warrior's tough, blocking and lunging at him. The creature's got magic too, vanishing and popping up behind him like a ninja ghost. Using its shield, the skull charges at the boy, switching directions like a pro skater. But it's not the Spartoi doing all the magic, it's Anastasia, pulling the strings. Theodore knows this fight's gonna be a real drag, no matter how much he wants to end it with magic. Anastasia's aware, and that's why she brought him here. The place is packed with her crime evidence. She knows he'll hold back his magic to keep it intact. Then she sees him charging a magical attack. He knows short-range magic is the key in tight spots. He uses 6th class earth magic, magnetic wave, and the skull's weapon gets yanked down. Taking advantage, the hero swings his staff, slamming the enemy into the ground, smashing it. The fortune-teller's jaw drops, calling him a monster. Now he's sprinting at her. She raises her arm, asking him to chill, saying she can help with his power. Anastasia says she's working for Princess Rosemary, and with a nod, he could be a big deal. She's all, you could even be king, but as she's talking, he strikes. The hit lands on her magic shield, and Theo, up close, says he's not interested in teaming up. He just wants to clean up the noble's mess. Finally, the hit sends her flying back, crashing into the wall. Looks like she's out cold, and the MC decides to tie her up and drop her at the royal palace. As he gets closer, he realizes he's seen her face before, pulling down her veil. And it's not just any girl, it's Princess Rosemary herself. Later, they're heading back to the palace, and Theo's like, wow, royalty's behind this? She's like, not that rare, honestly. And she says he should have joined her, calling him a fool. But the hero's like, nah, not teaming up with someone shady. She asks if he's sure, even with her being the second princess, and he's like, you drugged me, so yeah. But he wants to know why she gave info to Catherine and Byron. Was it to drag him into noble drama? Laughing, she admits she did it on purpose to rope him into the noble scene. Since he's now a foreign ambassador, he's hard to catch. So she got the Countess to do her dirty work. So turns out Byron's about as useful as a chocolate teapot for this gig. Even though he's Count Gartner's kid, he's nothing like the hero, just bolted without a thought, totally impulsive. Because of that, the girl took a big hit, but she's all smiles, saying she's not giving up. This ain't her final chapter. A few days roll by and King Melvin hits up the hero, telling him to roll up to the palace with Grace and Ashley. The boy's like, sure thing, and when he gets there, King Melvin's all friendly vibes as usual. Melvin called them over because Rosemary's trial wrapped up and he thought it'd be more legit if he broke the news himself. So, due to health stuff, the second princess lost her shot at the throne and is gonna chill in the North Tower from now on. This should squash the rumors about her dealing drugs in the palace, and Theo's grinning, saying it was cool to help out. And there's another thing the king wants to spill. And suddenly the room's got this serious vibe. The reason the king wanted the hero to bring his two fiancées was to chat about something super important to them. While everyone's hanging at the palace, Princess Marlene shows up with Albert. The king drops the bomb that he wants Theodore to take Marlene as his fiancée, like he mentioned before. Since she lost her voice, marrying her off is tricky, but she vibes well with the hero, so it kinda works. The king's all about keeping the princess safe, so having her with a good dude like Theo is a win. The hero's like, "So, is this why my fiancés are here, to see if they're cool with it?" The king steps back, letting the trio chat it out, saying he'll wait for their answer. Albert slides over, asking if the boy told them about the disguises they used before, and the hero's like, "Yep, told everyone at home." Blushing, the hero looks at his fiancées, asking what they think about it all. Grace steps up, takes Marlene's hand, and asks if she wants to keep working on that embroidery they started. Now the hero's looking at Marlene, asking her thoughts, but she can't speak, so Albert steps in. Albert's working on this magical gadget to help her talk, and he's got a prototype with him. It's still in testing, but it can take input and show text for now. He hands it to the little princess, saying she can say whatever she wants. With tears in her eyes, she writes that she'd be a burden to them. Theodore's like, "Why do you think that?" And she says she asked her mom for help, but thinks it was a mistake. The hero realizes Marlene's blaming herself for her mom's death, thinking she shouldn't have asked for help. Even if she's with them, she feels she'd just be a burden. The hero's like, "My mom was just like yours, and she'd have done the same thing." But he tells her not to blame herself, and he wants her caring nature to be recognized. He never saw her as a burden, and now she's writing on the device, asking if she can really stay with them. The three heroes start smiling, and Theo's like, "Of course you can," and the room's filled with joy and unity. The king smiles, seeing everything sorted, and Grace says tomorrow's gonna be lit with celebrations, 'cause it's Marlene's welcome party and the MC's birthday. The next day, there's a massive party. Everyone's having a blast, and it's all good vibes. Even Tarkot's there, and all the heroes' friends swing by to wish him a happy new year. After all the partying, some guests bounce, and it's cleanup time, so Theo heads to his room to chill. Even though it was two parties in one, the boy's totally shook by how many people showed up. Guess he's really vibing with city life now. Checking out the moon from his window, the main dude realizes tomorrow's gonna be a full moon night, no cap. If the moon's power was on the rise, it'd be the perfect day for the ceremony. Mixing that moon magic with the constellations, any creature could pop up. Might be a solid move to get a bodyguard for Princess Marlene. Just saying. Tomorrow, they're diving into a summoning ceremony. Rosetta's got the heroes back, helping him snag some transition stones for the summoning. He shoots her a grateful grin. The girl heard the boy was up to something cool in the atrium, so she swung by to peep it. Turns out it's a super complex magic circle. It's not a walk in the park for whoever's doing it. Tons of ways it could flop, and even if it works, who knows what'll show up. The ritual's basically a luck test. You might summon some mega strong random monsters. But today, Ashley's on a mission to find her familiar, and Marlene's looking to lock in a summoning contract. It's more of a bodyguard gig for Marlene, while Ashley needs backup for her rear defense role. Rosetta wonders if the princess can pull off the summoning, and Theo's confident she can. Girl's got mad skills. Now everything's set, and the adventurers huddle around the magic circle. Ashley steps up first, following the mage's steps. She pricks her finger and starts chanting for the ritual. As she lifts her sword to the moon, the middle circle goes wild, and a powerful energy starts buzzing. When the light chills out a bit, there's a canine chillin' in the middle. Grace wonders if it's a wolf. Theodore chimes in. It's a wolf that controls ice and cold, a snow wolf. This is clutch for Ashley, who can work water magic, and it's a high-level beast. Ashley beams and steps up to the wolf, saying since it answered her call, she'll give it a name to seal their bond. Wrapping up the ritual, she says her full name and dubs the wolf Levine, who howls at the moon, sealing their pact. Now it's Marlene's turn. She steps up to the magic circle, eyes shut, and extends her sword. A different energy kicks in. Out of nowhere, a spooky knight shows up, a Dullahan with a crazy dark vibe. The main dude suggested she picture a knight as her protector, but didn't think it'd be a headless knight that looks more like a monster. Even though it seems undead, it's more spirit-like. At least it's not a total eyesore. But the big question is what Marlene's gonna do now. The headless knight steps up to the princess and bows, making her blush and smile. Everyone's watching, totally focused and a bit nervous, not sure how to handle it. The knight's energy fades and starts floating. Ashley checks in with the princess to see if it all went down okay. Hilt mentions feeling some super scary monsters being summoned, but Theo clears it up. They were just really powerful creatures. The main dude was a bit nervous about what they'd summon, but felt better seeing they were top-tier creatures. Meanwhile, flashbacks of the abandoned city of Variandora roll in. It used to be a big deal. just like Teramui in a grand country. But after the demon beef, the country got wrecked, leaving behind a cursed land that's been ghosted for ages. In a corner of the city, there's a big sealed tree, the Spirit Tree Garden. A long-haired dude's checking out the tree, and a voice asks how Varios is doing. It's Luceriage, saying the guy's taking his sweet time by that tree. Even if the seal breaks while they feed him miasma, the real question is what happens if the dude uses his epic magic power. Since they say this place is the toughest to break into, the girl's letting it slide this time, and Varios admits he can't move past where he's at. But Luceriage being there means she's done lifting the seal from her area. Alright, so the girl's got some free time now, and she's hunting for something epic to do. Ever since Zevian got whooped, the whole Termalair invasion plan hit pause. She suddenly remembers, oh snap, the Twilight Forest's sealed door is about to open, and since she's got nothing on her schedule, she's thinking of checking it out. Varios gives her a heads up that Termulair is now Demon Slayer territory, and they're guarding that door like it's the last slice of pizza. But she's all chill about it, saying it was a human who took down Zevian, no biggie. Luceriage gets all hyped and suggests she bring someone random along, but she's like, nah, a partner would just spoil the fun. She's convinced she knows the perfect person for the job, just gotta see if they're down for the adventure. Varios watches her leave, thinking it's a classic move, demons chasing their doom with way too much enthusiasm. Theodore's all pumped, asking if his adventure squad is ready, and they're buzzing with excitement. The 6 adventurers roll out on their next epic quest, squad goals for real. They meet the king, who's like, yep, the sealed door's about to open, time to get serious. Lady Penelope's research says it's happening tomorrow, no pressure or anything. The ancient texts mention a sphere keeping the barrier up in the Moonlight Temple, and he's counting on them to snag it. Safely. Demons are probably gonna crash the party as soon as the door swings open. They're obsessed with that temple. But the foreign ambassadors all, don't sweat it. Demon busting is his jam, and his crew's been hitting the gym. The king gives Marlene a nod, telling her to take it easy. No need to go full beast mode. With everyone prepped and chatting with the king, the adventurers decide it's go time. The squad's got it all. Warriors, mages, healers, and most importantly, warriors ready to go all out. Fast forward to the Twilight Forest, our heroes are battling a gnarly, toothy plant, teamwork making the dream work. After the smackdown, they head to the sealed door, and Theo feels the magic power cranking up, seal's about to pop. As the door starts glowing, flowers bloom like crazy from the magic vibes, and Ashley's totally awestruck. The main dude's thinking if they weren't on a mission, he'd love to explore this magical forest. But Sheila's got his back, literally, and he realizes it's go time, yelling for everyone to charge through the door and not stop till they hit the sphere. The Catgirls got a sixth sense, knowing they've been spotted, so they gotta stay sharp. A wild magic circle appears in the plants, powered up by a black transition stone, no doubt. Demons are here. Luceriage touches the door, it burns a bit, and she recognizes the pattern, same as the one she got. Zevian dropped the ball. Should have given them the location too. Instead, they had to use Lynette's teleportation to get near humans with mad magical skills. The demoness heard the demon slayer's just a kid, and she's super curious about what kind of kid could pull that off. Meanwhile, inside the door, Grace nudges Theo to check out something far off. They can feel the sphere's power coming from this pedestal-looking thing. A girl's silhouette vanishes through the sealed door. Her mission was to lead them to the sphere, and she also warned them about demon attacks. With a calm voice, she raises her arm, ordering the demons to chill out. She's the Labyrinth's guardian, and to protect it, she unleashes a massive explosion towards the adventurers. The blast was meant to stop the demons right behind, but no dice. Luceriage and her sidekick are closing in. Theodore's ready to throw down with the demoness, while Grace has got the hooded one covered. The woman realizes these humans are her targets and speeds up, yelling for the demon slayer to give her a good time. Through the explosion dust, Theo and Luceriage face off. The hero's thinking, let's hit her with a killer first strike, maybe even take her down in one shot. He charges up his thunder magic lightning blast, aiming it straight at the demoness, who just grins as she takes the hit. Whoa, plot twist. The lightning strike just fizzles out, not even a scratch on the boy. Turns out the lady's got some metal bits in the miasma, using them as a lightning rod. Smart move, right? The woman's all, with this magic boost, no wonder Zevian's chill. She tells the hero to relax, enjoy the ride, and have some fun. Then, she's like, hey, I'm a sword dancer. What's your name? Theo's like, I'm Theo. And she's all, cool, I'm gonna slice you up, so you better bring your A game, cause I'm here for a good time. Theo grips his Ouroboros tight, knowing this demoness means business. She's surrounded by swords, grinning like a maniac, and yells, let's get this party started. Theo charges in, ready to rumble. Meanwhile, the hooded demon's eyeing Luceriage, totally distracted, and bam, Grace's chains lock him down. She's like, Yo, what you staring at? As Sheila zooms in. The kitty uses the demon's head as a trampoline, but oh. The demon rips his cloak, sprouting miasma arms chasing her. Luckily, Irma Hilt's got her back, firing arrows to stop them, making the demon super mad. Ashley's prepping her familiar for a combo attack, sending ice and fire images that smack the villain hard. But the demon's got tricks, gearing up for a strike, and Grace yells, "Everyone, off the ground!" They dodge, staying safe, but the demon starts growing, and the girls are like, "Is that his real form?" A humanoid shape emerges, and Sheila's like, "Now what?" Fully revealed, the enemy's a dragon-human-earth mashup. Grace figures the earth part's the main body, and they gotta take it out fast before it goes berserk. The maid's got a plan, and everyone huddles up. The demon's all, "Heard I could snack on negative vibes, but guess I'll just eat you all instead." He swings, but the adventurers dodge like pros. Grace is like, "Time to roll out the plan." She leads the charge, Sheila right behind. They know clumsy attacks won't cut it, so they draw his attention. With a magic surge, the blizzard storm hits, but the demon's unfazed, taunting them. Just as he's about to brag, a massive ice spear nails him. Ashley's familiar ice magic pro freezes him in place. While he's stuck, Grace and Sheila double-team him. Then, Princess Marlene summons her headless knight with a huge sword, charging in. The knight's super fast, landing a killer blow on the demon dragon, which crumbles into sand. Everyone's like, "Phew, we did it!" The demoness fighting Theo sees this and is shocked the girls beat Glimnaval. She's like, "Wow, Demon Slayer squad's legit," and Theo's like, "Thanks!" Before charging at her. She tries some spells, but Theo's got a magic circle up. Her spells turn into black orbs around him, sparking lightning. She's all, "How's this kid so powerful?" realizing his nickname's no joke, like a full-on artillery. She goes in for a close strike, aiming for Theo's left arm. But, out of nowhere, the boy pulls a ninja move, flexes his arm, and says, "Nice hit, finally got close to ya." Then, boom, the MC drops a mega spell that messes with Lucerige's whole vibe. The villain gets roasted, starts falling like a meteor, and she's all, "Yep, this is what I signed up for." To wrap it up, the hero whips out a 5th level spell, Grind Dust. It hits hard, she screams like she's at a rock concert, but then she's grinning, saying it's a wild ride. How can dealing with humans be such a roller coaster? She raises her arm, summoning a sword the size of a skyscraper. First time she's met someone who makes her wanna go full beast mode. But our hero's not sweating it. He's got a magic circle ready to go. He knows Lucerige's got assassin skills, one slip up and it's game over. So, the MC's got to hit her with a spell strong enough to slice through that sword. Cue the 9th level spell, Tempest Drive, mixing wind and lightning, and he blasts it right in her face. No way she's dodging that. With a wild look, the demoness yells, "This is epic!" Panting, our hero wonders if this is the end of the happy hour. The demoness is down, admits defeat, and says this is her curtain call. The boy's like, "Demons, always doing their thing," and then poof, gone. Lucerige says, "For a demon, death's just a fun day out." She reaches out to the boy, saying she's glad he was her final boss fight, and she's sure he can go wherever he wants. Theodore just keeps walking, thinking, typical demon stuff, but he's more banged, up this time. But he's chill because the adventurers snagged the sphere. Theodore's squad rolls up after the dust settles. Ashley, all worried, checks out her fiancé's battle scars, ready to patch him up. But first, the dude thanks the crew for having his back. Then the healer works her magic, fixing up the gnarly cut on his arm. With his arm good as new, Theo checks if everyone's cool and not busted up, then spots the place's guardian again. He steps up, saying he's here as a foreign ambassador, repping King Melvin. Since they're all about peace, the MC wants to know the girl's name, but she's not spilling the tea. He tells her that, by the king's orders, they gotta take the sphere to keep it safe, and they're not backing down. Grabbing the sphere, the hero feels a weird sense of déjà vu, and the girl says it's a human thing. Guarding the Moonlight Temple's seal is their jam, which is why she revealed the sphere's protection. Even though their goals match up, the boy's still curious about who she is and what she's up to, so he asks if she knows what's locked up in the Moonlight Temple. The mysterious girl says she doesn't know what went down in the labyrinth, but the demons are after something big sealed in the temple. And it looks like the protection's wearing thin, so the adventurers better bounce before the door slams shut. The woman starts to vanish, so the MC's yelling, asking her to hang on so he can at least get her name. Smiling, the girl says her name's Claudia and poofs away. Back home, the boys get a hero's welcome from Penelope, who asks how the adventure went. Theo hands over the sphere, and she's like, "Let me see that." And the boy wants to ask about Lady Shua's looks, cause it's hard to tell her hair and eye color from the altar statue. The moon's evolution is tied to the sealed gate, and Claudia's a dead ringer for the goddess. The legends say the goddess is a total stunner with hair that glows like moonlight. Then the hero realizes the only thing they share is long hair. The Labyrinth's got more mysteries than a detective novel. Penelope sees Princess Marlene safe and sound, gives her a big hug. She says it must have been tough for the young lady to brave the Labyrinth, but it was her choice, and she'll always have her friends back. The two hug it out, and Theo's just soaking in the whole heartwarming vibe. Later, the squad checks in with the king, who totally saw the demon sneak attack coming, and figures they'll just wait for another chance. The king feels kinda guilty about asking the main dude to keep tabs on the demons again, but the kids all, "Hey, that's why I got this title, right?" Ricardo's got the job of looking after the shiny sphere the adventurers snagged. While they're still hunting for the next sealed door, the king wants anyone with demon ties to be found. Theo spills that a demon messed up his arm in the last fight, mostly because he was running on empty. So, the kid vows to be ready next time, and those demons better watch out for his epic power. Melvin's all, "Dude, even with just one arm hurt, you're still leveling up your skills like crazy." The main guy's got one more request, since he's got some downtime before the next door pops up. He wants to swing by Count Gartner's place, cause his mom's memorial ceremony is coming up. The king's cool with it and mentions they haven't talked about the kid's reward for his latest heroics. This time, the king wants to hook him up with a wyvern palanquin, way faster than a boring old carriage. Theo's like, "Just borrowing one is chill," but the king's all, "Nah, you deserve your own ride." The king's super thankful for everything the kid's done, like smacking down demons and keeping the kingdom safe. Plus, the hero never asked for fancy titles or anything. Melvin just wants to show some love. After all the praise, the kid's a bit shy but takes the gift, and soon they're off to pick a wyvern. With that, the sphere mission's wrapped up, and the adventurers can bounce whenever. Inside the wyvern stable, a chill dude greets our hero with a big grin. He heard the heroes picking a dragon for the palanquin, and since they'll be BFFs, it's smart to choose one that vibes with him. His staff starts acting all weird as they pass a certain cage. When they check out the dragon, the kid sees it's bigger than the rest. It's a black dragon. It's super strong and fast, but it's got an ego the size of a mountain, making it a handful. Some stable guys got whacked by its tail because they weren't careful, but just as the kid's about to warn our hero, he gets smacked by the dragon's tail. He goes flying but whips up a magic circle and lands right on the dragon's back. With a cheeky grin, the hero asks if the dragon's up for a challenge, and boom, it takes off at lightning speed. Even with all the wild moves, the hero knows the dragon's not trying to ditch him. So, the brave kid uses his refined circulation skill to boost the speed, showing the dragon's full potential. They lock eyes and feel this epic connection. The dragon soars through the sky, all majestic and stuff. Even though it's his first dragon ride, the hero totally nails it, and it's a thing that the rider names the dragon, so now it's Lindworm. On the morning of takeoff, Lindworm's got 2 dragon buddies to help with the palanquin. Inside the palanquin's just as cool as the outside, super roomy, and the whole crew fits in easy. Theo gives his dragon a nod of thanks. The squad kicks off a new adventure, the girls are chatting, and Irma Hilt's jamming on an instrument. Before they know it, they're at Count Gartner's place. The MC tells his dragon to land by the river and big trees near the forest. Once they touch down, the boys hop out, and the kid shows them his mom's current spot. Grace is all warm and fuzzy, saying she never thought she'd see where she lived with Lisa again. With snow everywhere, the boys let the snow golems handle the shoveling. Inside, it's like stepping into a fairy tale world. Ashley's eyes are practically sparkling with excitement. Since the main dude's planning to visit his mom tomorrow, everyone gets to crash there for the night. The girls grin at Theo, telling him to chill while they handle the chores. Our guy's feeling all the feels, remembering the good times, especially where his mom used to study. He recalls how she wasn't a fan of him snooping around because of all the magical stuff, but now, it's all gone. While poking around, he spots a cabinet with a funky lock. But no worries, Caduceus is on it, morphing into the perfect key for the job. Inside the locked room, there's this magical stone in a tiny box. He picks it up and has a light bulb moment. He heads over to Grace, asking if she's got a sec. He wants her take on the whole locked room situation. Grace says if Lisa left something, Theo's the only one who should have it. Hearing that, Theo's feeling like a boss, knowing he's super important to her. The stone's got the secret to another room. Before going in, he apologizes for barging in and heads down the stairs. He finds himself in a room full of books. A worn-out notebook catches his eye. It's a magic research book, but it's got doodles from someone who was clearly bored, just like his mom. Among the sketches, he spots Grace's ring. The How to Make It guide is there, probably made by Lisa. There's more scribbled down, so Theo decides to take charge of everything, in honor of his awesome mom. Next day, it's so cold. The trees look like popsicles. A sad voice says it's back home, And there's the grave of someone super loved, Lisa, the hero's mom. With a bunch of flowers, he tells her about all the stuff happening, how he's cool with his dad, and surrounded by awesome people. He introduces them all, assuring his mom not to worry, everything's chill. Closing his eyes, he promises to visit her next year with all his squad. Fast forward, our crew's on the 20th floor of the Labyrinth. For safety, Theo checks if everyone's got their red transport stone for a quick getaway. Today, they're checking out the Knights area, mostly underwater, so magic's a must. First up, Theo shows them how to dive. They all go together, and he casts a 4th level spell, Bubble Shield. This spell's a bit tricky, so the girls need to take it slow until they get the hang of it. Ashley thanks Theo for the lift to the Baron's lands, where she got to chat with Kennel. Theo tells Ashley she's super important to him, making her blush and smile. Sheila crashes their moment, sticking her face in their bubble. She did it because they were taking forever, but they apologize and promise to be quick. Now each adventurer's in their own bubble, ready to explore the underwater world. Irma says it's like floating in the air. Sheila mentions her feet feel weird. Grace says until they're used to it, she'll lead, and Theo will guard the rear. They explore carefully until the vampire senses something coming. A swarm of silver fish with razor teeth, the blade fish. Theo tells everyone to stay chill and get ready. The bubble's tough but might pop if hit hard. So, if they attack, aim where the fish break into the bubble. Irma, a pro with her bow, takes aim. Theo hears a different twang of strings. The sound travels through the water, freaking out the fish. Princess Marlene charges her 3rd level lightning spell, Stun Bolt. It's super effective underwater. Her familiar spots more baddies coming, a giant muddy squid. Alright, so our hero is all geared up and tells everyone to chill, he's got this. But then, bam! The squid pulls a sneaky move, blasting ink everywhere, and now our dude can't see a thing. Turns out the squid wasn't even after Theo, it was all about Irma. In this epic moment, our hero yells for Lamia to use her magic stone to bounce out of there, but oops, she can't move her arms. Suddenly there's a flash and boom, squid bits are floating around thanks to our cat girl who just saved the day. While Sheila's got her friends back, the ambassador's free to handle the sneaky squid. And just like that, our boy takes down the massive beast. Later on, he's all, my bad, Irma, for putting her in danger. But Lamia's chill, saying she knew it was risky, and hey, it all worked out. First up, they gotta figure out how to breathe underwater, maybe a magic gadget or something. Alfred's the go-to guy for this kind of stuff. The crew meets Alfred and Theo's like, I'll handle the specs, you got the rest? Alfred's all, if it's your design, no sweat, consider it done. Fast forward, Theo's chatting with the king, saying the labyrinth was way tougher than expected. Mildred mentions the knights struggled in the water zone, so they need to prep big time. Anyway, Theo's asked for some underwater gear, thinking it'll make things way easier, so they decide to chill on the exploration till they're all set. Mildred's grinning, saying there's a new gig for the hero, something totally different. Turns out, it's a ghost problem, and Theo's feeling a bit spooked. Ghost sightings are popping up all over, mostly at night, with folks seeing white shadows in the sky. The knights jumped on it, but there are so many reports, they're stretched thin. Theo's thinking if these ghosts are demons, it's gonna be a mess, but adventurers say it's not. Mercedes suggested the knights team up with seasoned adventurers this time, so they're tackling this ghostly chaos with the Adventurers Guild. Luckily no one's hurt yet, but they gotta fix this fast to keep the city chill. With a determined vibe, our hero's like, no way I'm letting my city get messed up. Understanding the stakes, he agrees to help, and the king asks him to check in with the guild for the deets. Later, the ambassador hits up the Adventurers Guild, which is buzzing with activity. Night patrols are happening daily, but if this keeps up, everyone's gonna be wiped out. Our guy knows he needs to crack this case ASAP. He bumps into Mercedes, who's stressed, and she apologizes for not handling it solo. She explains she called in the guild because they were super helpful in the labyrinth. Theo's all smiles, ready to help with the ghost gig, but he needs more info, which surprises Heather. She promises to set up a meeting with the guildmaster, and soon enough she leads him to a room. Theo's surprised to find the guildmaster is an elf named Arya. She invites him to sit, offering tea while they chat. The hero thanks her but notices Arya's giving him a curious look. She mentions his eye and hair color, saying it's just like Lisa's kid. Theo's shocked and asks if Arya knew his mom, and she explains Lisa was a huge help back in the day. Now Arya knows she has to spill the beans about the ghost drama in the city, but Theo's more interested in hearing about his mom Lisa first. Arya's sipping tea, chatting about her first meetup with Lisa. She spills the tea on how it was a total disaster, like people were getting hurt left and right, and the guild was swamped. The injured list was growing faster than a viral TikTok, and even with the whole guild pitching in, they were still short on hands. Then, boom. Lisa shows up, Theo's mom, and she just dives in, healing everyone with her magic like a boss. Thanks to her, everyone made it through, and the wildest part about Lisa that day? She used up all her magic and just passed out, but she was the guild's hero, a real legend. Even though she was new in town, she was super chill and friendly. Theo's mind is blown. He had no clue his mom was from somewhere else. He asks Aurea if she knows where Lisa's from, but Aurea's like, nope, adventurers keep their origins on the down low. But from Lisa's spell style, Aurea guesses she's from the northern island, Silvatoria, Magic Central. Silvatoria's all about magic, with research popping off, way ahead of Turmoil's. They've got the Sage Academy, a top-tier magic school. Theo figures out the magic lock on. The drawer can be opened. Not what he thought. The pattern's unique. In the notebook he found, there are all these wild spells and codes, probably Silvatorian too. With all this info, Theo's ready to crack the notebook's secrets. Aurea peeps Theo's face and checks if he's good. Cause the story's about to get lit. Gotta stay focused. But Theo's like, that's enough for now, even though he wanted the scoop earlier. The more he learns about his mom, the clearer his memories get. So, they switch topics back to the spooky stuff happening around. The guild's been on the case. These ghostly things pop up at night, vanish quick, no harm done, but still a mystery. There's also this super creepy ghost that looks in pain, acting all weird, needs sorting out before it gets messy. Theo's curious if Turmoil's has seen this before, but Aurea's like, nah, nothing like this on repeat. Theo thinks it might be linked to something else and asks if there's more weirdness in town. Aurea's drawing a blank, but Theo hints he thought the bad vibes might be a clue. He can't spill all the beans, but some sketchy stuff's been happening. A demon invasion in the Labyrinth. The guildmaster heard about it, and Theo was the hero who took them down. Ghost showed up right after. So maybe those nasty demons are eyeing the city too, not just the Labyrinth. They decide to use this hunch to guide their investigation for now. Even though the ghost's a regular, it's odd it hasn't caused any trouble yet. If a low-level ghost gets demon vibes, it should turn dangerous. But with its pained look, maybe the ghost's trying to tell people something. When spirits have something to say, they often have to show up. The guildmaster says her village was full of spirits. She used to chat with them as a kid. Suddenly, Theo has a light bulb moment, thinking the spirit might be behind the ghostly happenings. High-level spirits aren't as easy for demons to mess with and usually don't hurt people. The ghost's agony face might mean it's got a message for humans. Aurea's on board saying spirits hate when outside stuff messes with their vibe. Alright, buckle up, cause this is gonna be a wild ride. So, there's this spirit with a massive ego, right? It's got no chill, while the low-key ones are super easy to mess with, so they don't mean to show up. The guildmaster drops a map on the table, saying it shows where spirits are popping up in the city, and dude, the streets are like a ghost party zone. From what they've gathered, this might be happening cause of some magical PowerPoints. Places with tons of mana are like monster magnets, either cause of some weird stuff or just where they're at. If all this mana is a demon's doing, then maybe some mana-spewing items got snuck in to mess with the spirits. Aurea's all about beefing up patrols, but the hero's like, nah, I got this. And in return, everyone on patrol gets to chill and catch some Z's. The guildmaster wonders if the boy can really handle it all, cause it's a big area, but our hero's got a squad. The lady warns him not to get cocky, saying if the spirit gets feisty, it could be trouble. But Theo's like, leave it to me. Our adventurers gear up for the next mission. The MC breaks down the patrol spots and what they're hunting for. Plus, he wants updates through Caduceus as soon as they spot the target. Then Ashley, Sheila, and Theodore are off, ready to tackle whatever comes their way. The guildmaster says a hyperactive ghost or spirit is bad news, with a high chance of causing chaos, so they gotta chill it out before anyone gets hurt. The heroes scour the city, but nada so far. There's just one spot left to check, and it might crack the case wide open. When they get there, the boys spot a shady shadow. It's the spirit. Aurea shows up, hearing they found the target, and the lady's shocked they did it in one night. Looking closer, the guildmaster sees it's not a ghost, but more like a spirit or fairy, and it's super unstable. She thinks it's gonna be tough, but the protagonist grins, saying that's why they're here. It's a hyperactive spirit with magic powers, meaning it can throw spells, so better slap a counterspell on everyone just in case. First, Theodore locks down the area with a magical barrier so the target can't bail. Then Miss Aurea tries to sweet-talk the spirit. It doesn't take long for the creature to show up looking all stressed. Theo jumps in to shield the guildmaster. The lady sees the target so out of whack it can't even chat. Not much the heroes can do until they can talk to the spirit, so they gotta drain its extra magic. The mage tries to block the target's attack with his Ouroboros, and tells Sheila to go easy on the main body, just drain the magic. The kitty's on it and goes for the attack. Ashley knows she needs to spread the magic and launches her blizzard storm at the target with her familiar's help. The spirit screams echo as the power flows through it. Theo senses a different magical vibe. A shadowy figure appears, looking like a half-human, half-dragon girl, and she starts screaming like crazy. Oria realizes it's a massive sonic shockwave powered by magic, and the barrier's not gonna cut it. The Baroness starts crafting a magical circle and yells Theodore's name. The MC's all about freeing the spirit from the magic eating it up and uses an 8th level fire magic, Furnace Flame. The magic hits the target, and there's a loud crack. All the heroes watch as a tiny energy ball lands in the boy's hands. It's a little fairy with angelic eyes. Theo checks if she's hurt, but she's good. Oria comes over, realizing they can finally chat, so she asks what was bugging the creature so much. The fairy leads the adventurers to a house that's been abandoned for ages. The door's locked, so Sheila's on lock duty. As soon as the doors open, the fairy zooms to a room that's trashed, and dark energies oozing from the center. It's a sphere spewing miasma, and it seems to be the fairy's corruption source. It looks a lot like a sphere from the Labyrinth, and there's also a black teleportation stone. The guildmaster once heard about a stone being used for crime. Kinda sus, right? Anyway, the magic circle can do the same thing, like when the boy saw the demoness chilling by the sealed door. So, this stone is probably the demon's secret pass to crash the capital party. And the one in the house? Left by the demoness in the labyrinth the heroes stumbled upon. But here's the weird part. If Theo was a demon, he'd hide the stone, but the baddies just left it, even though it gave away their hideout. A fairy from a spooky house and the stone showing up seems like the demons never saw this plot twist coming. Since it's all tied to the labyrinth sphere, the adventurers decide to haul the stone to the royal palace. Wrapping up the mission, they yank the stone and sphere, zap the leftover magic, and save the next move for when they're back at the guild. Later, the tiny fairy's still chillin' on the hero's shoulder, clearly vibing with him. With watery eyes, she asks if they can stick together, and Oria jokes about adding a fairy to the squad. The guildmaster suggests naming the fairy to boost their bond and keep her from being swayed by others. After a quick think, the boy names her Seraphina, and she beams, totally digging it. The guild handled the demon mist, and the ghost joined the fam, with the magic stuff heading to the royal castle soon. The king thanks them for their hustle and for trusting Theo with the spirit, bringing peace back to the city. As for the demon sphere, the king figures Ricardo and the experts should check it out. The boy walks off feeling accomplished, now wondering how they'll tackle the magical water vein again. But then, a shout breaks his thoughts. Someone just back from exchange, demanding to know what's up. The dude grabs the hero and starts ranting, but Theo's got no clue who he is. It's Helfried, the third prince, and brother to the second princess, Rosemary. With fire in his eyes, he demands to see his sister, who the MC supposedly took. He tried to hit up the North Tower where she's locked up, but no dice without permission, so he heard the king was meeting the hero. And since the boy's mixed up in his sister's drama, he must have the hookup to see her. Theodore says he can visit her, but he won't, cause there's no point. He thinks bringing her highness in her current state is tricky, and the young man gets heated. But Chester shows up, pats the hero's shoulder, and asks for permission too, since he's grateful to the princess's brother. And teaming up with the brother might let him show his thanks somehow. Getting the vibe, the hero agrees and asks if Chester wants to tag along, but the knight's like, nah. So, it's just Theodore and Helfried heading to see the locked-up princess. They trek to the North Tower, and when they get there, Rosemary's messing with some books. With a grin, she greets them, saying she's glad the hero's visiting, but the boy's like, not here for fun. Her brother says he hasn't seen her in ages and just got back from his exchange program, and he's shook to find out she's been locked up and caught by a stinky wizard. The young man heard her plan got busted, but he doesn't buy it, thinking she got set up. With a calm look, the princess admits the wizard did mess up her plans, and she asks if the young man knows why she treats the other royals so harshly. It's because she doesn't want to get attached to her succession rivals, but since he's her bro, she's gotta be nice. And also because the young man's no threat to her, he doesn't even have a shot at being king. Those nasty words hit the boy's heart like a ton of bricks, and he bolts out of there. Totally ignoring the chaos she just caused her bro, the girl says she wants to chat with the main dude now. Rosemary starts grilling him about the spots where the sealed door is. The boy's already scoped out the Forest of Darkness and the Great Wasted Lake. The last two are Magic Light Water Vein and the Scorching Fortress that leads to the Spiritual Sanctuary. The main dude's curious why the girl knows so much about the labyrinth when she's not getting anything out of it. Turns out the princess has been hoarding books in her downtime, and there are loads of ancient scrolls about the labyrinth. Apparently the kingdom still thinks Rosemary's got some brain power and decided to put it to use. When the full moon's out, you can sneak out of the hidden labyrinth through a secret gate, plus there's a path to the Temple of Moonlight. Legend has it, 4 pairs of orbs were used to lock away some big bad calamity. This info's pretty wild, and the boy's thinking maybe he should hit up the king for more deets. Switching gears, the princess mentions she heard some gossip that Marlene married someone from the main dude's fam. He's like, yup, and now he can keep her safe. Plus, she ditched the whole throne drama, so no more poison scares. The princess grins and asks if the hero thinks she wanted to mess with Marlene. The wizard says it's 'cause the young lady lost her voice from poison. Rosemary stares into Theodore's eyes and asks what he'd think if he knew the girl's voice could be brought back. With a serious tone, the main dude asks if the princess is trying to strike a deal with him. The girl says she just wants to squash the rumor she poisoned anyone. If she really wanted to snatch a voice, she'd do it right. Convinced she's got a point, the protagonist gives a cheeky wink and says sorry for pointing fingers. Then he asks what it'd take to get Marlene's voice back. Judging by the girl's symptoms, the Sea Witch's elixir was probably used. It's tied to a magic trick that steals the voice of whoever drinks it, and the stolen voice might be locked in some container somewhere, so the hero's gotta track it down. The girl shows the poison recipe with some rare stuff so they can trace the culprit from here. If the main dude nails the culprit, the princess hopes he'll back her up. The boy's kinda on board.
So the video ends here. If you don't want to miss the next part, activate the notification bell, and see you next time on Tob's channel.